This guy just used up a lifetime of good luck to win the lottery jackpot, only to immediately find out he has a terminal illness and is about to kick the bucket. Dear God, please just let me live, okay? Well, Isaac did get reincarnated, but as a bald-headed skeleton. But thanks to his sheer grit, even though he started out as a measly skeleton, the lowest grade of summoned monster, Isaac managed to evolve into the Corpse King, the ruler of death itself. For hundreds of years, he rebuilt the demon race from the ashes. But he did not do it for fame or power. It was all for a contract he made with the world. If he completed his mission, he would finally get to be human again. And today was finally the day he finished the job. Leaving his minions behind in the other world, Isaac headed up to the heavenly realm all by himself to meet the gods. So, I have fulfilled every single one of your demands. I expect you haven't forgotten your promise to turn me back into a human. But life is never that simple. Instead of keeping their word, those backstabbing gods decided to permanently seal this poor skeleton soul inside a literal worm. Sometime later, somewhere, my head is splitting. Well, at least my consciousness is back. How did I let those trash gods trick me like that? Was it because I was a brainless, hollow skull? But once his senses fully returned, Isaac realized he was currently in the body of a baby. Is this a human body? Am I actually human again? No way, those greedy, power-hungry bastards suddenly had a change of heart. Did something go wrong with the seal? While Isaac was lost in thought, a voice suddenly piped up. Oh look, the Holy Sun, the maid cooed with a smile. The Holy Sun has opened his eyes. Holy what now? While he was completely dazed, she continued. He was sleeping so peacefully, yet he woke up. The male servant replied, Yes, it would have been much better if he had just stayed asleep. He said this while gently shaking a baby bottle in his hand. Who on earth are these people? Did I really become human? Well, there is no other way, is there? I feel a bit guilty about this, the maid said with a creepy grin that did not match her words at all. Oh well, it is just our job, after all. We are terribly sorry, Holy Sun. We know you just woke up, but we have to put you right back to sleep. Sweet dreams, Holy Sun. Isaac watched the male servant slowly bring the highly suspicious baby bottle toward him and thought to himself, I literally just died, and now I am about to kick the bucket again? Realizing his life was on the line, Isaac squirmed and thrashed, absolutely refusing to drink from the bottle, which made the male servant highly anxious. Why is he not drinking? Isaac snapped his head away, thinking, not a chance. I went through hell to become human again. There is no way I am falling for such an obvious trap. Well, while I am at it, I should figure out why I turned into a human. Come on, be a good boy and drink up so you can rest in eternal peace. Oops, I mean, so you can have a good sleep, Lord Isaac. Hearing the name Isaac made him freeze. Did that guy just call me Isaac? Everything started to click. Isaac remembered how the demons used to butcher his name, calling him King Isaac instead. That was probably why that brainless, long-haired god carved the name Isaac onto the worm instead of his real name, which kept him from being sealed. And to top it off, he got reincarnated into a body with the exact same name. Those gods were so full of themselves, yet they were so careless that they let me slip right through their seal. Amused by this, Isaac burst into a wide grin, which unfortunately gave the male servant the perfect opening to shove the bottle right into his mouth. Isaac immediately used all his strength to push the bottle away. The male servant strained with all his might to force the bottle back in, keeping it locked in place, while shouting to the maid, "Give me a hand! Why on earth is this baby so strong?" The maid jumped in to hold the bottle steady, forcing the liquid down Isaac's throat. Is this veggie juice? The taste is absolutely vile. Are they trying to end my life with this garbage? I literally just became human, and now a strange, powerful sensation is surging violently inside my body. Meanwhile, at the central cathedral of the Holy Kingdom of Hela, a man thought, they should have taken care of that brat by now, right? As Bishop Masa Berit smugly smirked to himself, an imposing voice rang out. You seem to be in high spirits, Bishop Masa Berit. He looked up to see Alexander Heathcliff Hela, the Emperor of the Holy Kingdom of Hela, and bowed deeply. I greet the son of our empire. The Emperor asked warily, Bishop, what brings you here? I came to meet the candidate for the Holy Son from the Eshua family. When it comes to the Holy Son, our church cannot simply stand on the sidelines, Masa Berit replied with a smirk. Alexander Heathcliff stared back at him with a knowing look. I see. So you came all this way yourself because it concerns the Holy Son? But it would be a real shame if something bad were to happen to our candidate this time. The bishop chuckled. Haha, Whatever do you mean by that, Your Majesty? Before Masa Berit could even finish his sentence, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the Holy Sun's room, catching everyone's attention. Young Master! Young Master! He is! Hearing the maid's panicked voice, Masa Berit smirked before following the Emperor as they rushed to the Saint's room. What happened, Saint? The Emperor demanded, slamming the door open. But the maid simply gushed, Young Master, he is just so adorable. Instantly, the tense atmosphere vanished, replaced by pure joy. Look at that plump, round little belly. It's so cute. He really has a huge appetite. Is this the legendary little angel? Look, he just chugged 15 bottles of that awful vegetable juice. While everyone else was buzzing with excitement, Masa Berit gritted his teeth, deep in thought. No way. How is he still alive? He drank that much and is completely fine? That was definitely no ordinary vegetable juice. Rewinding to a few minutes earlier, a strange sensation was surging wildly inside my body. Am I really going to die for nothing again? Wait a second. This is actually a deadly poison for priests because it destroys their holy power. The effects don't kick in right away, but if you ingest enough of it, it's absolutely fatal. But since this poison was crafted from demonic magic, to me, a former demon king, this is basically a premium treat. I can't believe they'd hand me such a wonderful gift. Oh, I love this. I definitely won't let this highly nutritious food go to waste. So instead of avoiding it, the little guy eagerly grabbed the bottle and started chugging. After finishing it off, he even threw a tantrum demanding more, leaving the two servants completely bewildered. Wait, is he asking for more? I feel like I can actually understand what he's saying. The more he eats, the happier we'll be. Poison? Come on, it's just vegetable juice. It's not like it would affect him instantly anyway, the male servant said, happily handing another bottle to Isaac. Man, this is absolutely incredible. Nothing beats absorbing demonic energy. I have no idea who poisoned this, but whoever did is a total legend. Alright, time to figure out my next move. With that thought, Isaac closed his eyes. I'll leave my conscious mind, enter my subconscious, and head deep into the primordial realm to construct a mana core. I'll be safe here. Time to get to work. I'm going to gather all the mana I've absorbed and forge it into a core. I need a mana core to cast spells, so if I want to use magic in the future, this is an absolute must. Suddenly, the mana core in his hand began to glow, startling him. He thought it was going to explode, but thankfully, it didn't. A typical mana core usually shines in one of the three basic colors, but this one is white. No, wait, the color isn't even the main issue. I haven't even gathered enough mana for a tiny core yet. So where is this massive, overwhelming surge of energy coming from? This completely exceeds my wildest expectations. Just how many blessings were bestowed upon this fragile little body? At this rate, I'm going to become a monster far more powerful than I ever could have imagined. Survival. A relentless will to survive was etched deep into my soul, an almost obsessive desire to live. This very drive was the source of the Demon King's power, allowing him to create countless buffs and unique skills. And now, I have inherited that entire legacy within this body. While Isaac was busy forging his mana core in his subconscious, back in the real world, the two servants stared at his motionless, closed-eyed body. Is he actually dead this time? Let me check. But just as the maid finished speaking, Isaac suddenly raised one finger. He was gesturing for another bottle, leaving them on the verge of tears. How on earth is he still alive? Back in the present, Alexander Heccup let out a sigh of relief when he saw that Isaac was perfectly fine. It turned out to be a false alarm. Yeah, except for the part where I almost got assassinated. Nothing to worry about here, Isaac thought to himself, tilting his head. He caught the bizarre expression on Masa Berit's face. What's with that look? Is he seriously annoyed just because I ate too much? No, wait, it'll be a massive pain if he starts suspecting me. I need to play dumb. Time to put on an innocent baby smile. Putting his plan into action, Isaac flashed his most adorable smile at Masa Berit, but instead of easing the tension, it only made the man's expression darken even further. What is wrong with this brat? That dose of poison should have had him coughing up blood and writhing on his deathbed. And yet, he still has the strength to mock me? A few days ago, at the headquarters of the Cardinal Tower, Berit, the head of the Berit family, poured himself a glass of deep crimson liquid and said, "Once you become the saint, you will hold complete control over the Holy Empire." How absurd. Yet, wherever I go, people confidently claim their own child is the saint. Even those lowly servants are doing it. Behind him, Masa Berit placed a hand over his chest and said respectfully, "Please rest assured, my lord. We will make sure to take good care of the saint candidates. Haybaris chuckled softly. Yes, of course. However, I have heard some unsettling rumors that there is a saint candidate from the Joshua family. The very family known as the Emperor's loyal right hand. Sensing the chilling tone in Haybaris's voice, Masa Berit broke into a cold sweat and stammered, "If it's them, then we can't possibly." Before he could even finish, Haybaris slammed his glass of red liquid onto the carpet right at his feet and said, "By the time you get there, that child is supposed to be dead. All you need to do is confirm that truth. I will handle the rest. The Holy Son must come from the Berit family." Back to the present, Masa Berit grits his teeth as he watches Isaac smile brightly after drinking so much poison, thinking, did they not say this kid was guaranteed to kick the bucket? But how is he still alive? This is impossible. At that moment, Alexander Heck approaches the cradle, looks closely at Isaac, and smiles, saying, "Fascinating. Such brilliant platinum hair. Isn't this the exact hair color of the Holy Kingdom's founder? Am I right, Bishop?" Masa Berit panics and speaks up, "Your Majesty, you must not say such things." Isaac looks at Alexander Heck in surprise, thinking, is this guy the Emperor? Alexander Heck turns to Masa Berit, chuckling, and asks, "Why not? I could even say this boy is closer to God than the current Pope himself, making him truly worthy of being the final candidate for the Holy Son." Hearing this, Isaac is shocked, thinking, what? I am actually a Holy Son candidate? Now I get why they kept talking about holy this and holy that. Meanwhile, Masa Berit is extremely anxious. This is bad. The Emperor is already favoring this brat. I cannot let this continue. With that in mind, Masa Berit forces a smile, steps forward, and asks, "Your Majesty, may I examine the child for a moment?" Alexander Heck looks at him suspiciously and asks, "Huh? For what reason?" Masa Berit explains, "This is highly unusual. There is no way a newborn could digest all of that vegetable juice." Alexander Heck counters, "Is a Holy Son candidate not allowed to eat the food of the clergy?" Isaac thinks to himself, a demon king like me becoming a candidate for the Holy Son, how ironic. Masa Berit speaks up, "Just to be safe, please allow me to examine the boy, Your Majesty." Alexander Heck replies, "The Joshua family will be here soon. Let us wait until they arrive to decide. Your Majesty." Masa tries to argue further, but stops dead in his tracks as he notices Isaac burp up a tiny trace of demonic energy. Isaac realizes what just happened and quickly covers his mouth, thinking, the demonic energy is not fully digested yet. Am I exposed? Filled with anxiety, Isaac glances at Masa Berit, only to find the man staring right back at him. After a few seconds, Masa Berit suddenly smiles and says, "Your Majesty, I just sensed a suspicious aura coming from this child. Oh dear, this is highly suspicious." Isaac thinks anxiously, did this bastard find out? Masa Berit continues, "This child could be a fake candidate who possesses demonic energy. We must report this to the heresy inquisitors immediately." Hearing this, Isaac confirms that his careless slip-up has indeed been noticed by the old man in front of him. He curses in his mind, damn it. Meanwhile, Alexander Heck flies into a rage upon hearing Masa Berit's claim, roaring, "Insolent! How dare you speak that way about a precious Holy Son candidate?" Masa Berit smiles calmly and says, "Your Majesty, please do not be so hasty, because the Pope has already declared a child of the Berit family to be the Holy Son candidate." Alexander Heck is taken aback, thinking, he wants to put his own puppet on the throne of the Holy Son. He completely disregards my authority. Isaac thinks in anger, so that is it. He wants to eliminate me for this very reason? At that moment, Masa Berit picks Isaac up and calls out, "Guards! Bring the heresy inquisitors here immediately." Isaac curses, "You bastard!" Just as he starts to panic, unsure of what to do, Alexander Heck commands, "Wait, the Joshua family is one of the royal family's most loyal allies, so as the Emperor, I strictly demand that you examine the child later." Masa Berit responds, "I understand. But Your Majesty, the Pope has decreed that the Crown Prince's coronation will only proceed once the Holy Son is chosen." Hearing this, Alexander Heck's face pales as he realizes, if I do not support the candidate chosen by the Pope, they do not intend to hold the coronation ceremony at all? Noticing the shift in Alexander Heck's expression, Isaac thinks anxiously, these cheap bastards. This is not going well. Sensing his advantage, Masa smiles triumphantly and says, "If you do not want to hand him over to the Holy See, we can settle this right now. With my exorcism spell, if this child is normal, he will be perfectly fine." But if he is a demon, he will die. Just as Masa Berit utters his final word, Isaac smashes him right in the face with a baby bottle, making him spit a mouthful of blood. Seeing a tooth fly out of the bishop's mouth, Isaac thinks smugly, "Take that, you liar. How about some more? After all, I am just an innocent, helpless little baby." At the same time, he flashes an adorable baby smile. But Masa Berit does not find it cute in the slightest. Rubbing his face in pain, he thinks, what on earth was that? That baby bottle and that force. Meanwhile, the onlookers gasp in awe. That child must definitely be the Holy Son. Masa Berit stares down at Isaac in his arms. It is true that I can feel holy power inside his body, but what in the world was that strength just now? While lost in his thoughts, he gets whacked a few more times. Whacking him repeatedly, Isaac thinks cheerfully, how dare you mess with this king? After taking a few more hits, a chilling realization hits Masa Berit. Could this actually be demonic power? The others noticed it too, especially Alexander Hupf. A joyful smile spread across his face as he watched the golden light bursting with every single strike Isaac made. Isaac just kept on pounding, thinking to himself, I'll cast a strengthening spell to make this baby bottle sturdier. After that, I just need to play the part of a cute, harmless baby, and I'll be golden. Before long, the crowd saw Masa Berit drop to one knee and gasped, "The bishop! He's been touched by the holy power." Isaac smirked at Masa Berit, thinking, well, did you only just notice the golden light on my bottle? Wait, what's this? Even though it's incredibly faint, a small amount of holy power leaks out every single time I use mana. These two powers are supposed to balance each other, but they conflict, so they can't be used together, right? If that's the case, this must have something to do with that white mana core. Lost in thought, Isaac suddenly felt Masa Berit snatch the bottle right out of his hands and toss it aside. The man glared down at Isaac, then whirled around to face Alexander Hupf, shouting, I swear to the heavens, this brat is a heretic. We must perform an exorcism immediately. Isaac sighed to himself, what an absolute scumbag. Taking advantage of the bishop's rambling, Isaac slipped his tiny hand inside the man's robe, thinking, you're forcing my hand here. Don't blame me for what happens next. Besides, aren't you carrying a rather interesting little toy yourself? A vessel sealing the corpse of a high-ranking demon. This totem exploits a demonic trait, absorbing mana by consuming their own kind. This bastard must have hidden this away carefully to keep the other demons off his scent. With that thought, Isaac pulled a severed arm out of Masa Berit's robe. It was tightly wrapped in cloth, bound by a rosary chain, and leaking a thick, dark, demonic energy. Masa Berit froze in absolute terror at the sight. How could a mere infant possibly know about this? But before he could even process the thought, something far more horrifying happened. Isaac casually tossed the totem onto the floor and snapped his fingers, thinking, watch your step, you piece of garbage. Since you insisted on coming after me, I'll show you what real power looks like. Let's see, you try to beat this, you fraud. Right as Isaac snapped his fingers, the totem seemed to come alive, and the bandages wrapping it slowly began to unravel. In an instant, a massive wave of demonic energy erupted from the severed arm. Sensing the overwhelming malice, everyone in the room tensed up and stared at the arm in alarm. Someone cried out in disbelief. A demon? Alexander kept his guard up against the newly summoned entity while roaring at Masa. How is there a demon soul here? Bishop Masa Berit, what is the meaning of this? Carrying a demon on your person, have you lost your mind? Masa stammered in protest. Don't you see? That baby is the one who pulled it out. Alexander pointed an accusing finger at him, demanding, that totem is meant to seal a dead demon. How could a dead demon suddenly come back to life on its own? He immediately barked an order to the Holy Knights. To arms, protect the Holy Son from this demon soul and the bishop. Yes, sir. The Holy Knights bellowed in unison, drawing their swords as they charged at the demon soul. One of them rushed forward and scooped Isaac up, pulling him away from the bishop. Masa stood frozen, his voice trembling as he muttered, but how? Why? Snuggled safely in the Holy Knight's arms, Isaac looked down at Masa with a smug grin, thinking, serves you right, you old bastard. He was planning to use this fight to gauge just how strong the bishop really was. But when he turned his gaze to the demon soul, he realized it was staring right back at him, letting out a blood-curdling screech. The Holy Son. Destroy the Holy Son. Isaac's mind went completely blank. Wait, what? The answer was crystal clear. The demon's target was Isaac himself. Destroy the Holy Son. Screeching once more, the creature lunged straight toward him. Seeing this, the holy knights quickly threw themselves in front of him, roaring, "Protect the young master." Isaac was utterly baffled. What is wrong with this idiot? I'm the one who brought him back to life, and he's coming after me? But he quickly shrugged it off. Whatever. With a small army of holy knights shielding him, his safety was basically guaranteed anyway. No sooner had the thought crossed his mind than he watched one of the holy knights get blasted backward by the demon. Isaac stared at the groaning knight on the floor, his face filled with utter disbelief. Are these guys seriously supposed to be elite holy knights? Meanwhile, the demon swatted away the remaining knights like flies, stretching its monstrous claws toward Isaac as it bellowed. Destroy the holy sun. Resurrect the demon king. The knight holding him trembled in sheer terror as the demon closed the distance, desperately clutching Isaac tighter against his chest. Isaac, on the other hand, just sighed. Oh, for crying out loud. I guess I'll have to take care of this thing myself. Seriously, why does absolutely everyone in this lifetime want me dead? Tilting his tiny face up, he stared coldly at the razor-sharp claws closing in on him. I'm the one who set you free, and this is how you repay me? You've got a lot of nerve, you insolent little demon. As he roared in his mind, a faint flicker of demonic energy flashed in his eyes. He glared directly at the creature, and instantly, the demon froze midair. Because in its eyes, the being standing before it was no longer a helpless, newborn holy son. Instead, it was a majestic bone demon king, looking down from above as if staring at a pathetic little ant. A second later, a divine golden light suddenly burst from Isaac, illuminating the entire room. The demon soul, in particular, was almost completely engulfed by this holy glow. The demon soul let out terrified shrieks. Taking advantage of everyone being too stunned by Isaac to notice, it slipped out the door like a gust of wind. Seeing this, a holy knight cried out, the demon, it's trying to escape," but nobody even reacted. All they could see right now was Isaac, glowing with that divine golden light. Is that holy power? It must be. Lord Isaac defeated a high-ranking demon. That's incredible. To do that at his age. He's truly worthy of being our young master. Meanwhile, Isaac stared at his hands, which were still radiating strands of golden light, lost in thought. What is this? Is this actually holy power? What on earth is happening? My mana is completely drained. I can't believe it. Is this weird body of mine actually converting my mana into holy power? Wait, if that's the case, how am I supposed to gather mana? Mana is already scarce enough in this holy kingdom as it is. Meanwhile, Mazar was pinned down by the holy knights. Even so, he kept struggling and screamed, "Let me go, you absolute fools. That brat is a heretic using demonic magic. How dare those filthy demons step foot into the holy kingdom? Your Majesty, please. Let me prove it. I'll use exorcism magic to expose his true form for everyone to see." Alexander barked, "Enough, Bishop. You dare slander an innocent saint candidate as a heretic, and you even released a high-ranking demon right in front of the holy knights. Even if you're one of the Pope's men, don't expect me to just let this slide." Hearing this, Mazar's face darkened. He knew all too well how miserable his fate would be. The seeds of suspicion have been sown. Sooner or later, the spies planted here will be caught. If that happens, it'll be a massive blow to the Pope's influence. Even if it costs me my life, I have to find a way to save my family. In that case, the least I can do is eliminate this saint candidate. With that thought, Mazar grit his teeth and secretly began drawing a magic circle behind his back. As soon as the magic circle was complete, a lion-like beast was summoned and lunged straight at Isaac. Has that guy finally shown his true colors? Does he honestly think he can take me out with such a pathetic attack? Isaac was about to use his mana to deal with the beast, but then he remembered his mana was completely drained. With the beast closing in on him, Isaac suddenly saw a magic blast shoot from the doorway, instantly taking the beast down in the blink of an eye. Immediately after, a young man accompanied by a few others stepped into the room and boomed, "Who dares lay a finger on a child of the Joshua family?" The newcomer was none other than the seventh son of the Joshua family, Rai Joshua. Seeing him, the holy knights in the room gasped, "It's the Holy Blue! Joshua's knights are here." Rai then pointed at the kneeling Mazar and ordered, "Arrest this bishop immediately." Understood. The knights behind Rai shouted as they instantly moved to execute the command. Mazar struggled and screamed, "Let me go, you Joshua mutts. How dare you lay your filthy hands on me?" Isaac rubbed his chin like a little old man, lost in thought. "Wait, Joshua, I feel like I've heard that name somewhere before. Just as he was trying to remember, Rai spoke up again. Show your respect, everyone. At those words, the holy knights behind Rai dropped to one knee before Isaac and bellowed, It is an honor to meet the young master of the Joshua family. Isaac was astonished. Wow, look at their discipline. They're even more organized than royal knights. Rai stepped forward, smiled warmly at Isaac and said, I'm sorry I'm late, Isaac. While we can't fully make up for what just happened, we did bring a little gift. As he spoke, Rai leaned over and gestured toward one of his knights. Isaac looked over in curiosity as the knight reached into his vest, pulling out something that sparkled. Oh? Is that gold? He wondered. Or maybe a pouch of gold coins? A second later, the knight presented the item right in front of Isaac. This is an action figure of the Bone Demon King being executed. The knight then pulled out several more figurines, and here is one of him being burned alive, and another of him getting crushed to pieces by the saintess. With each figurine produced, Isaac's face grew stiffer, but the people around him saw a completely different story. Our young master is so adorable. Oh my gosh, look at how much he loves them. He's so precious. He's so happy. He's literally crying. Isaac was utterly speechless. Fearing his future, he thought, how am I supposed to survive in a family of absolute lunatics? Wait. Joshua. Now I remember. They're the saintesses who kept trying to defeat me. With these thoughts, Isaac recalled, I am Sonia Joshua, the 45th saintess, and I am Shuri Joshua, the 61st saint. You have no right to know my name. Recalling these memories made Isaac's head throb with pain as he groaned to himself. He said they all belonged to the Eshua family. Holy crap, not only was I born as the holy son, but I was also born into a holy clan? What kind of atrocious crime did I commit in my past life to deserve this punishment? While he was still complaining about his fate, Martha continued to struggle. You, Eshua bastards. He is definitely a heretic. Where on earth did you guys find that brat? I will expose your true colors. You bastards dare to harbor a monster? Has the Eshua clan rotted to this extent? I will definitely cleanse the entire Eshua family on behalf of God. With that, a sword was drawn, grazing Martha's neck and leaving a small cut. Silencing him instantly, Riley spoke coldly, Be grateful for the Eshua family's mercy, or your head would have been rolling by now. Isaac thought to himself, ooh, this guy seems pretty useful. That slash just now shut the bishop's filthy mouth perfectly. That was honestly awesome. I wonder if he plans to use this as an excuse to oppose the Holy See. Next, he looked around. The holy knights were surrounding him. Young master, you must have suffered so much. From now on, you only need to look at beautiful things, and only listen to pleasant things. Hearing their words and seeing how they treated him, Isaac could only sigh in frustration. What a bunch of idiots. I already miss the Blue Knights of the Eshua family. Those guys were actual badasses. Among my former subordinates, I think one of them even developed a psychological trauma with the color blue. Right at that moment, Alexander spoke up. Once again, I have troubled you all. By the way, Rely, could you inform your family head that our imperial family wishes to take custody of your young master? Rely asked. Your Majesty, you must be joking, right? Isaac was taken aback, thinking, wait, what? The imperial family wants to adopt me? Alexander continued. The entire world is targeting your young master. You surely know this better than anyone else. I do not deny the strength of the Eshua family, but is it really enough to protect this child? Especially since the Pope seems extremely displeased with your young master. One of the main reasons is that the child's hair color is identical to the founder of the Holy Empire. Heck, even the Skeleton King might be targeting him for all we know. Isaac thought to himself, no way, I am the Skeleton King. How could I target myself? After a moment of contemplation, Rely replied, I am terribly sorry, Your Majesty, but this child carries the blood of the Eshua family. Therefore, we will raise him no matter the cost. Whether we have to face the Pope or the Skeleton King, the Eshua family has more than enough power to take them on. Furthermore, the previous saintess, Melissa, always wanted to meet the Skeleton King again. Alexander murmured. That is true. Rely continued. In that case, the Eshua family has even more reason to keep and raise this child, who is a direct descendant of Saintess Melissa. Lying in Rely's arms, Isaac heard Melissa's name and panicked internally. Melissa, the final opponent I faced before I conquered the world? Is it that Melissa, the most terrifying and psychotic saintess I have ever fought? Not only was I born as a candidate for the Holy Sun in a holy clan, but I am even a direct descendant of Melissa? What kind of twisted, tragic fate is this? The story of the saintess goes, after being defeated countless times by the Skeleton King, the gods decided to create a saintess as the ultimate weapon, a divine staff crafted to punish evil. The fierce blue lion of the hunt unit brandishing holy light, the greatest light of the Holy Empire, the highest rank of a Knight of Light. With the overwhelming combat power of the saintesses, everyone believed the Skeleton King would soon be defeated. Her attack and defense were almost on par with the gods, and she had the survivability of a cockroach. She could self-destruct if needed, possessed radiant beauty, grew stronger over time, and had an extremely long lifespan. However, the Skeleton King was ruthless. Isaac thought to himself, hey, I've never actually killed a saintess. Doing that would just backfire on me. Killing a saintess would only send all their holy power back to the gods. That just allows those pesky deities to create an even more powerful version of the saintess. But that last saintess, Melissa, was scary strong. And now, she's actually my ancestor. With an adoring expression, Relai continued, she lived her entire life just to witness the downfall of the Skeleton King. The Eshua family is the very birthplace of saints, whose mission is to eradicate anything that dares to oppose the gods. I am certain the Eshua family is more than capable of protecting this child. Alexander frowned slightly, lost in thought. A holy knight suddenly chimed in. Exactly. Do you have any idea how many saintesses have died at the hands of the Skeleton King? On the contrary, Isaac cried out in protest in his head. Wait, that is totally unfair. I didn't harm anyone. The holy knight continued. One of them was even locked up in a labyrinth by the Skeleton King because he deemed her unworthy of a fight. Isaac thought, hey, I let her out. Who knew she was born with absolutely zero sense of direction? And 5 other saintesses died from the pure rage and stress he left them with. Isaac thought to himself in frustration. Geez, if you're sick, go see a doctor. Why blame me? Isaac couldn't help but blush in sheer embarrassment. With a gentle smile, they cooed. Don't worry, sweetheart, we have everything handled. Even if it is a curse, we will absolutely protect you. Hearing this, Isaac only got more annoyed, thinking to himself, am I the only one who has a problem with this? Next, Rilai lifted Isaac up with a smile and said, his arrival into this world is a source of immense happiness. His parents only have one simple wish, which is for him to grow up and not turn out like that dreadful Skeleton King. With a constipated look on his face, Isaac thought to himself, to the father and mother I have never met, I am so sorry for letting you down. Alexander spoke up. Sir Rilai, please reconsider. It has already been 150 years since the Skeleton King was sealed away. Isaac was stunned, thinking, has it really been that long? That means Melissa must be dead, right? I am pretty sure she was already around 50 back then. Alexander continued. While the demons are growing stronger by the day, the Holy Sun is the key for the Holy Empire to regain the upper hand. This child is incredibly important to our imperial family. Besides, there is currently no saintess protecting the Eshua family. It has already been 1 year since the saintess gave birth to this child and vanished along with her husband. Isaac gasped in shock, thinking, my mom was a saintess? Rilai then spoke up. Even if they are no longer here, we still have her. The Eshua family is still more than capable of protecting this child. Isaac clutched his head with both hands, thinking, okay, I do not think anything else can shock me anymore. Just the fact that my mother was a saintess is already more than enough. But just as he thought that, he heard Alexander ask, is Lady Melissa not currently on her way to crush the Skeleton King's remaining minions? Rilai replied, she will be back soon, because she is very eager to meet her descendant. Hearing Melissa's name again, Isaac hung his head and covered his face, groaning, oh my God, she must be at least 200 years old by now. How is she still kicking? Alexander said, it seems it will take some time for her to return. The baby's behavior is a bit strange. Is he all right? Rilai replied, he is fine. Isaac grumbled inwardly, you call this fine? What could be worse than finding out your old enemy is still alive? If that old hag Melissa finds out about me, I will be burned alive at the stake. Anyone else would have been fine. Why does it have to be Melissa, the absolute last person I want to face right now? If I want to survive, this is my only option. An idea popped into Isaac's head. He reached out with both hands to grab Alexander's finger, wearing an adorable smile that seemed to say, Your Majesty, please take me with you. Alexander said joyfully, oh, this little one, look at him. He clearly wants to come with me to the imperial family. Rilai spoke up. He is just very clingy, Your Majesty. Alexander gently tugged on one of Isaac's arms and said, the imperial family can provide so much for this child. Even though the Eshua family has produced many saints, they are still severely lacking when it comes to raising a child. Rilai also firmly held Isaac's other arm, pulling the baby toward him, and said, this child is destined to become an exorcist knight. He will destroy the demons in the future. The Eshua family is the most suitable place to train exorcist knights. Besides, he is the first holy son in history, so it is not like the imperial family has any experience either, right? After that, the two kept pulling Isaac back and forth as they fought over him. The imperial palace is better. No, it is the Eshua family. Feeling like his tiny body was about to be ripped apart, Isaac could not help but cry on the inside. Seeing this, a holy knight quickly cried out, please calm down, you are hurting the young master. Hearing this, the two finally stopped, but neither was willing to let go of Isaac. Isaac thought, I already chose to go with the emperor, so please just let go. I do not want to die just yet. Besides, my path to survival is appearing as light, and it is all pointing toward the emperor. That means I will have a higher chance of survival if I go with the emperor. I cannot let this chance slip away. At the same time, Isaac's arm, which Alexander was holding, began to glow with a blinding golden light. Alexander smiled and said, that is a wise choice, holy son. A second later, Isaac gasped in surprise, thinking, what is this? Later that night, in a secluded spot, Martha knelt on the ground, shouting to the hooded figures in front of him, this is so unfair. He clearly used demonic mana. I am absolutely certain that child is the descendant of the Demon King. The leader of the hooded figures spoke up. Is holy power, bestowed by the gods, something a lowly demon could ever use? Under the moonlight, the speaker was revealed to be none other than Hare. At the same time, another hooded figure behind Hare suddenly drew a sword and stepped toward the kneeling Martha. Terrified, Martha cried out, that was definitely demonic mana. My lord, how could someone like me possibly mistake holy power for demonic mana? Hare said coldly. At the Holy See, we despise the words you just uttered. Cardinal Martha barely had time to let out a gasp before his head was sliced off with a single swing. Staring coldly at Martha's headless body, Hare continued, they are nothing but blasphemy against the gods. Behind him, a hooded figure spoke up. I'll put together another team to finish this mission. He replied, that won't be necessary anymore. The emperor has already taken the child. Once they are with the royal family, we'll have plenty of chances to strike. We must make the most of it. This time, make absolutely sure the target is eliminated. Under the cover of night, a group of black-cloaked figures stood waiting for orders from their leader. The leader smirked wickedly and said, the emperor was bound to take the child with him anyway. Since we will have plenty of opportunities on royal territory, we'll plan our next move then. Thinking of the saint candidate who was still very much alive despite their assassination attempt, he hissed venomously, this time, that brat is definitely going to die. On a beautiful morning, bright sunlight streamed through the window. Meanwhile, Isaac was just lying there, casually cleaning out his ear. Under a clear blue sky, an elegant carriage was escorted by a convoy. Inside, Isaac thought to himself, I'm finally on my way to the Joshua family. Upon hearing this, the cloaked leader was completely shocked, while his subordinates nervously thought, wait a minute, sir. Just a few days ago, a bright light flashed inside the room. Isaac was stunned, thinking, what on earth is that light? It was so blinding that even while being held by the emperor, he had to cover his eyes with his tiny baby hands, crying internally, why is it so bright? Ah, my eyes. The light was actually radiating from Doalai. He spoke up, yes, your majesty. The Joshua estate is indeed no place to raise a child. He placed a hand over his chest and bowed slightly to show his sincerity. You probably think of it as a dump, filled with nothing but demon corpses and mana cores. Isaac thought, is your will to survive seriously that bright? As the man gestured dramatically, his face shone like a literal high-beam headlight in Isaac's eyes. At best, the only thing of value in Joshua is the remains of the Skeleton Demon King. Hearing this, baby Isaac froze in sheer shock. An image popped into his head of a skeleton lying in a wooden coffin with its arms crossed over its chest. Wait, what? My body? You guys actually have my body? He grabbed Roy's index finger with his tiny hand, complaining silently. You seriously should have told me that sooner. Roy was in the middle of speaking but paused when he noticed his nephew's reaction. Even so, Joshua is still. Wait, huh? Isaac clenched his other tiny hand and pointed his little index finger, babbling some cute baby noises that meant, "Look at this, uncle." Cradled in the emperor's arms, Isaac flashed an angelic smile. He grabbed the finger, demanding to be taken to Joshua immediately. Seeing this, his uncle Duelai was absolutely thrilled. He blushed with emotion, calling out his nephew's name. Isaac! Back to the present. Under the warm sun and white clouds, our little protagonist was lying in his crib, inside the elegant carriage. Isaac rested his hands behind his head, crossed his baby legs, and watched the scenery passing by the carriage window. He thought, even though I'm being dragged away from the imperial family and sent to the military, I have no choice if I want to get my body back. Missing his magic-rich skeleton body, he mused. With a body that possessed mana rivaling the gods, reaching level 10 would be an absolute breeze if I could just get it back. Recalling how Duelai's face had practically glowed like the sun back then, Isaac analyzed. Besides, that was the first time I've ever seen a will to survive shine so incredibly bright. Going with my uncle to Joshua is definitely the best bet for my survival. Of course, Isaac wasn't alone in the carriage. Roy was sitting right next to his crib. Sitting across from them was a commander of the Blue Knights. He asked, "Why are the Pope's forces relentlessly pursuing young Master Isaac?" Hearing this, the baby curiously sat up to listen in, thinking, honestly, I was wondering the same thing. Why are they panicking so much? Roy glanced at his nosy little nephew and explained, "It's because we received a prophecy from the gods. They said that the saint would become the child of the gods." Hearing that, Isaac flinched in shock. The commander chimed in, which means he would be the next pope. Roy nodded. Exactly, that's why the Berit family is so desperate to get their hands on a saint. Listening to their conversation, Isaac's face darkened. He frowned and cursed silently. What kind of crazy plot twist is this? The Pope is the strongest priest who can wield level 10 holy magic. He's basically a king to all priests and holy knights. In the Holy Empire, his power is almost on par with the Emperor. Rubbing his chin, Isaac analyzed. For thousands of years, the Berit family has been churning out popes. No wonder they're going absolutely insane at the thought of a saint stealing that power right out of their hands. That's also why every other family wants to produce a saint of their own. Suddenly, the carriage screeched to a halt as loud noises echoed outside. The two adults inside peered out the window, and Roy poked his head out, asking, "What's going on?" The carriage driver replied anxiously, "Young master, we've reached the gates, but there seems to be a slight problem." While he was explaining, the gate guards started approaching from a distance. Two guards behind him crossed their spears to block the way. The leader raised his hand to halt the convoy, saying, "Apologies, but you cannot enter the duchy." Isaac thought curiously, what is it this time? Annoyed, Roy threw open the carriage door and stepped down, snapping, "How dare you pretend not to recognize the Joshua family crest? What kind of training did you people even receive?" The guard smirked, exposing sharp fangs. "Of course you can't enter." Suddenly, the three of them began to transform, their fangs and claws fully growing out, because we must eliminate the next child. "The saintess's bloodline," a Blue Knight cried out. "Demons?" Even Isaac, who was leaning out of the carriage window, was caught off guard. What the hell is going on? I specifically ordered them not to attack human territory. What the hell is the new Demon King doing? The lead demon laughed maniacally and declared, "Listen up, you lowly humans. Our revered king has ordered us to slaughter every saint and saintess without hesitation." Hearing this, Isaac knew his suspicion was correct. "I knew it. A new Demon King has already taken the throne." The demon continued, "In the name of our great skeleton Demon King, King Isaac, we shall take the saint's life." He grumbled in frustration, "Like hell. When did I ever say that, you idiot?" The lead demon laughed menacingly. "If you hand over the child, His Majesty the Skeleton Demon King might just spare your life." Before the demon could even finish, a powerful bolt of blue lightning struck the big-mouthed beast down. As the lightning faded, the demon was left as a charred corpse on the grass. The remaining two demons shrieked in terror, "You lowly holy knight!" The holy knight gritted his teeth. "You dare speak like that to an exorcist of the Joshua family? I see you desire a painful death." Ryan pointed his sword at the two demons blocking the entrance. "Listen up." He drew his blade to his chest and began to recite his oath. "To protect all that is small and innocent in this world." Gripping the hilt with both hands at chest level, he pointed the blade straight to the heavens. Not just Ryan, but the entire squad of blue knights behind him followed suit. In unison, they roared, "The Joshua family shall purge all evil. We will hunt your kind to the ends of hell." Ryan smirked mockingly. "I can't believe that wretched Skeleton King actually sent his lackeys to snatch our child." These words instantly triggered the demons, and they lunged forward in a frenzy. "How dare a lowly human speak to us like that?" One of them lunged forward, screaming, "How dare you defame Demon King Isaac, for the resurrection of His Majesty King Isaac." Meanwhile, the commander of the Blue Knights quickly scooped Isaac out of the carriage. The moment they cleared it, the carriage exploded. He dashed away at breakneck speed, screaming, "Forgive me, young master." Scooped up out of nowhere, Isaac was completely bewildered. What is going on? Is someone impersonating me? Only after retreating to a safe distance did the knight finally stop. He set Isaac down on the grass. "Please wait here, young master." He cast a blue, protective barrier around the boy, adding, "I will be right back." Isaac was surprised. A protective barrier? He reached out to touch the ward. Even a high-ranking demon wouldn't be able to break through this. "It is incredibly strong." He grinned, analyzing the situation. "Since nothing from the outside can get in, that also means nothing from the inside can get out." Isaac closed his eyes. In that case, desire to survive, activate magic unsealing. He calmly sat cross-legged, closed his eyes, and began channeling his magical power. "Heed my call. You who are born of magic yet possess intellect. Arise, whispering observer." The moment the observer materialized, it flew straight into its master's lap like an excited puppy, squealing, "Oh, great master, my lord." Isaac spoke to it through telepathy. Yeah, I know. Long time no see. Now quiet down, or we'll get caught." It calmed down, whispering, "I thought I would never gaze upon your magnificent face again, master." He sighed. "Honestly, I thought I was a goner too. Watching the spirit play around like a child," Isaac thought. "It really has been a while." Even though whispering is a tracking spell, it possesses its own consciousness. I only created it because casting tracking spells and manually analyzing the results was such a drag. Over time, it developed its own personality, though it's still pretty naive. It praised him, "Your wickedness is as magnificent as ever, master. Congratulations on taking over the body of this innocent little child." Isaac pouted at the remark. The spirit drifted around inside the barrier, asking curiously, "But what did those filthy gods do to you, master? No matter how wicked you are, I still can't believe those gods stuffed you into the pathetic body of a human child." Isaac snapped. "That's enough. Scan for enemies." The spirit quickly obeyed. Understood. Starting the scan now. With that, its mana began to ripple through the air. I am now scanning within a radius of 100 meters. Once the scan was complete, it peered at the battlefield where the demons and the Blue Knights clashed, reporting, "There are 88 enemies, and they are all monsters. Worthless beasts like them could never compare to you, my great master." Isaac gasped. "Are they insane? Wait, 88 of them? Are they trying to start a full-scale war, or what?" Fearing that this would bring in even more guards, he frowned. "It's going to be a real pain if security in this territory gets beefed up. Summoning my minions will only get harder. Since it's come to this, I need to wrap things up before the Joshua family catches on." Crouching down inside the barrier, he hardened his resolve. "Even if I have to burn through all my reserved mana, I'll have to handle this myself." The spirit watched him, feeling puzzled. It then turned its attention back to the battlefield, announcing, "There are currently 51 enemies remaining." It sounded a bit taken aback itself. The enemy forces were dropping rapidly, now down to only 31. Isaac was stunned. "What? How did that happen so fast?" The spirit reported, "Now there are only 13. On the battlefield, as the Blue Knights fought, they warily scanned their surroundings. One of them yelled, "Young master, something is heading this way." Ryan barked out an order. "All units, defensive formation. There aren't many of these demons left." The ghost says, "Only 4 left." The demons look up. "You're finally here, brother." One of the demons gets pumped up. "Let's do this together. Today we're taking the saint's life." The newly arrived demon looks like a shadow, whispering, "The saint." The other demons are getting hyped up about the Skeleton King, but before they can even finish their sentence, a purple shadow flashes right past, slicing them to pieces. Shaken by this sudden turn of events, the Blue Knights instantly panic. The little ghost next to Isaac says cheerfully, "All the enemies are gone." But Isaac just frowns, looking deeply worried. A lich suddenly appears in the middle of the battlefield, and its terrifying presence makes the knights freeze in fear. The ghost reports what it sees on the battlefield. I've spotted a specter lich. Who knows what set it off, but the lich goes absolutely ballistic, screaming, "How dare you lay your filthy hands on my king? You will pay with your lives." Finding himself right in the lich's crosshairs, Isaac's face darkens with anxiety. What is wrong with this guy now? The lich's eyes glare with deadly intensity. "My king, my one and only master." It screeches in pure rage. How dare you trap him inside the body of this pathetic little brat? Unleashing its twisted, overwhelming emotions, the demon soul looks directly at Isaac and cries out, You have set him free." Then it glares down at the knights, roaring, "Stop looking at that child with your filthy, disgusting eyes." The lich threatens, "Keep staring and I'll gouge those eyeballs right out of your skulls." Down below, the commander of the Blue Knights whispers to Relay, "Young Master Relay, what on earth is that demon babbling about?" The truth is, humans can't understand the language of demons at all, as they speak in a completely different tongue. Safe inside the barrier, the tiny ghost giggles, "Oh boy, look at that beautiful chaos out there." Isaac is completely speechless at the unfolding drama. It seems that idiot realized I'm the Skeleton King. Well, his dedication to tracking me down is somewhat impressive. Just then, an order echoes through the ranks. "All knights, draw your weapons, prepare for battle." The squad roars back, "Understood." They're all geared up to charge the lich. Watching them, Isaac sighs in frustration. Why did that idiot have to make such a flashy, dramatic entrance? From inside the safety of his barrier, he starts waving his arms and babbling baby talk at the top of his lungs, which obviously nobody can decipher. "Hey, you idiots, don't touch my property. That is my giant mana core." Seeing his little master throwing a tantrum, the commander panics, terrified that the boy will draw the demon's attention. "Young Master Isaac, please hang in there just a little longer. I will handle this." Before he can even finish his sentence, the lich bursts into a manic laugh. It looks over at Isaac, covering its face like a schoolgirl in love, squealing with absolute delight. "My master, the one who guides my destiny, he has finally recognized me." Unable to understand its words and only seeing its creepy laughter, the commander shivers. "Young Master Relay, that demon is mocking us." The next second, it bypasses the entire squad of knights and flies straight toward Isaac. "Your humble servant is coming to your side right now." Luckily, Relay notices that the wretched creature is heading straight for Isaac. As the lich closes in on the barrier, it continues to spit venom. "You filthy holy knights, how dare you lock my master up in such an unclean place?" Isaac is secretly thrilled. "Oh, perfect. He saw me." He beams with excitement as the creature approaches. "Now I don't have to just stand here and watch my precious mana core get purified." He commands the beast, "First, hurry up and break this barrier for me." The lich happily raises its sharp claws. It slams its claws violently onto the barrier. "As you command." The commander screams in terror. "Young master, the barrier is shattered." Relay panics too, Isaac. Meanwhile, Isaac smirks triumphantly as the barrier crumbles. He grabs the lich's hand as a surge of mana erupts. He praises, "Good job." Immediately, he begins to drain its mana. "Now, stop causing a scene and get some rest." The lich is struck with absolute terror. Watching its body get sucked into the totem, it screams, "Master!" Drawn into the totem, it cries out in despair, asking why. Meanwhile, Relay and the commander, who are rushing over, witness the entire scene. Relay is completely stunned. Staring at his completely unharmed nephew, who is happily giggling next to the totem, he mutters to himself, "Is that the holy art of sealing demons into totems?" The commander cheers. His very first taming was a massive success. He is absolutely incredible. The Blue Knights burst into cheers for young Master Isaac. After all, that is a high-tier holy spell that only legendary figures like the saintess or cardinals can cast. Isaac can only roll his eyes at these ignorant humans. Holy art? Are you blind? I literally used magic. Relay watches silently, crossing his arms as doubts creep into his mind. That was definitely the holy art of sealing demons into totems. But why didn't I feel even a single trace of divine energy when such a high-level spell was cast? Still overwhelmed with joy, the commander chimes in, "Well, you know how it is. It is only in the face of absolute danger that a person's true potential is unleashed." Recalling the moment the lich shattered the barrier, he analyzes that the demon was targeting Isaac. It must have instinctively sensed the threat he posed, prompting it to desperately try and eliminate the danger. The commander beams with pride. "Isn't our young master just spectacular? I am absolutely certain of it." I'll bet my life that our young master is the true saint child. Relai can only stare back at him, utterly speechless. Just look at the squad commander trying to plant a kiss on Isaac's cheek, only to be blocked by the baby's annoyed protests. Rai thought to himself, that's right, even the demon race has started to take notice of this child. Even if he isn't the holy child, there has to be something incredibly special about him. He hung his head in frustration. But why? Why did it have to be a boy? He frowned, his face darkening at the thought of the curse. Thanks to the curse of the Skeleton King, every single boy born into the Rasua family is doomed to suffer. Lost in thought, he was snapped back to reality by the commander's voice, declaring, I have made my decision. Cradling Isaac in his arms, the commander made a solemn vow. In the name of the commander of the Blue Knights, I swear to protect Isaac's future, and with it, the future of the entire Rasua family. Hearing those words, Rai froze, and then a warm smile spread across his face. Of course, how could I be so foolish? He reached out to take the baby back into his arms. Why should we live in fear of the Skeleton King's curse? This child is destined to bring unimaginable glory to the Rasua family. Rai lifted his nephew high, beaming with pride. Let's go home, Isaac. Your uncle is going to teach you so many wonderful things. He continued eagerly, with a natural talent like yours, you are destined to become an extraordinary, legendary, holy knight. Isaac flashed a bright, innocent smile, but on the inside, he was scoffing. Yeah, right, like I'd ever do what you want. Just take me home already, and give me my real body back. But what Rai said next made him freeze for about 2 seconds. Even if you don't have long to live, I swear I will protect you with my life, no matter the cost. Isaac's mind went completely blank. Wait, what? Rai babbled on, completely oblivious. Your name will be sung across every corner of this continent. In a sheer panic, Isaac could only let out a few baby babbles, which in his head meant, wait a minute, hold on, I just heard something incredibly disturbing. But to Rai, those babbles sounded like eager agreement. This only fueled his blood-related uncle's excitement even more. I knew you'd love the idea. Meanwhile, Isaac squirmed in absolute despair. No, I don't. Rai gushed. The moment we get back, I am going to teach you exactly how to curse that miserable bastard, the Skeleton King. Hearing this, Isaac's face went completely dark. Who the hell are you calling a miserable bastard, you jerk? Finally, the carriage arrived at the grand estate of Duke Rasua. It was a massive, breathtaking estate with sprawling gardens, opulent decorations, gilded sculptures, and towering gazebos. Peering out from the carriage window, Isaac was both awestruck and utterly consumed by jealousy. Those Rasua bastards. While my demon kind is suffering and being tormented by your people, you guys get to live in luxury like this? Just how much is this whole place even worth? Thinking about his poor, starving demon children crying for food every day made Isaac want to weep. You greedy, capitalist pigs. Here I was, scraping by and struggling just to put food on the table for those kids. His observer specter chimed in. Master, oh master, this place is on a whole different level compared to our rundown castle. If we just sold off a few of those gold statues, we could easily buy 10 Demon King castles. Isaac trembled with rage. I know that. You don't need to rub it in. While he was busy looking around, his seventh uncle, Rai, scooped him up. Here it is, Isaac. This is the Rasua family estate. This is where all exorcisms and demon slayings begin. He carried his nephew over to another window and pushed it open. Take a look out there. Out on the lawn, a scarecrow that looked suspiciously like the Skeleton King was tied to a wooden cross. A group of kids were practicing by taking swings at the scarecrow. Rai whispered proudly in his ear, when you get a bit older, you'll be joining them. The kids whacked the scarecrow with their wooden swords, chanting, Die, Skeleton King, die. They looked absolutely unhinged. Every single one of them had a creepy, psychotic grin, matching each strike with a curse. We're going to tear you to pieces, Skeleton King. I curse you, you piece of absolute garbage. Even ripping you limb from limb isn't enough, Skeleton King. The screaming continued to echo. Die, die, die. Inside the carriage, Rai was beaming, while Isaac felt a massive headache coming on. What on earth are you people teaching these children? Is this entire family just a bunch of brainwashed fanatics? He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. It is fine, it is fine. He began to plot, a sinister grin forming on his face. All I need to do is infiltrate the Holy Empire, burn the Emperor alive, and turn this whole land into the Isaac Empire. The little specter snickered. Master, it is just a joke. A great, mighty skeleton king like you shouldn't let it get to you. Don't be so petty. Isaac snapped internally. Shut your mouth and go scout the area. Yes, master, right away. A moment later, more than a dozen glowing dots scattered across the mansion appeared in Isaac's vision. This caught him completely off guard, and his eyes lit up in excitement. Incredible. Are those all mana cores? I can count at least a dozen just from here. The little specter grinned. This is the very first time I've ever seen so many mana cores gathered in one place. I wonder how many of our kind they had to slaughter to get all of these. Finally, the carriage came to a halt. We have arrived, Master Rai. Rai carried the baby down from the carriage and barked orders to the servants. Go prepare the room immediately. Isaac will be staying with me. The butler stepped forward to greet Rai, hesitating nervously. About that, Master Rai. I am terribly sorry. But we have strict orders to take young Master Isaac to the annex. Rai's expression soured instantly. The annex? Why? The butler trembled as he replied. The fifth master has ordered that Master Isaac is never to set foot inside the main mansion. Isaac sighed in frustration. What is it this time? Rai frowned, gritting his teeth. Did he really want to take Isaac to that deadly cursed place? Ajax frowned, thinking this family was completely messed up. I knew it the moment I saw a newborn baby, who had not even been weaned yet, abandoned outside. The house of Eshua is on the brink of collapse. His biological seventh uncle grumbled. My brother really did something completely pointless. Isaac agreed wholeheartedly. Exactly. I could live comfortably in the main mansion, so why on earth do I have to go to the annex? The ghost giggled. But the mana core you need is in that annex, Master. Those words hit him like a physical blow, stabbing straight through his heart. Rai walked past the butler and headed straight inside. Step aside. I will not let my nephew stay in some godforsaken place like that. Isaac babbled desperately, crying out, No, the annex. I want to go to the annex. His seventh uncle said warmly, Let us go to my room, Isaac. I will read you a bedtime story about how the great saintess fought against the skeletal demon king. Isaac froze in horror. No way. That is basically an exorcism on me, Rai continued. After we finish that, I will teach you the secret exorcism method specifically used against the skeletal demon king. Having no energy left to cry, Isaac thought, Are you trying to kill me? Just as they were heading inside, someone stepped up to block their path. It is just a homeless brat. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? The man said. I am certain I ordered that child to be sent to the annex. He crossed his arms and spoke condescendingly to Rai. Our first meeting in ages, and you are already trying to defy your older brother? The speaker was Goel, the fifth son of the Eshua family. Isaac stared wide-eyed at his newly appeared fifth uncle, who looked like a textbook villain. Isaac thought, a total thug. Goel pointed at him and demanded, Put him down. I am taking him to the annex. Rai snapped back. Are you kidding me? This child is a descendant of the Eshua family. There is no way we are sending him to the annex. Isn't that the place we used to exile people to in the past? Isaac glared at his biological fifth uncle, thinking, That rude bastard is definitely on the side that does not want me here. Seventh Uncle Rai pulled Isaac closer to his chest. Out of the way. I still have to tell my nephew the story of how the skeletal demon king was purified. Looking at Isaac's face, he seemed extremely uncomfortable. Isaac was screaming on the inside, Hey, put me down. I am totally fine with going to the annex. Goel walked over, poked Isaac's cheek, and smirked at Rai. Hey, where did you dig up this baby skeleton? Then he spat out, Descendant, my ass. Isaac grit his teeth in anger. I actually want to go to the annex. But what the hell is wrong with this bastard? Is he a priest or a common thug? But then, Isaac reconsidered. Whatever, as long as I can get to the annex and absorb my mana core, I do not care. Rai exposed Goel's true intentions. Do you think I do not know why you want to send my nephew to the annex? Rai continued. You want everyone to think the boy is cursed, so you can keep him completely out of the competition, don't you? Hearing those key words, Isaac froze. Keep me out of the competition? What the hell? Wait a minute. Remembering his grand plan, he screamed internally. No way in hell. I still have to ruin this entire family, become a saint, and then rise to become the Pope, and most importantly, I have to get revenge on those bastard gods. Goel smirked like a total bastard. Want others to think so? I heard a demon literally crawled out of this brat. Maybe he was just born cursed, Goel added, but the squad commander quickly spoke up. That is not true. Young Master Ajax helped destroy that demon. The commander defended Isaac, saying, The fact that a demon targeted him in the first place only proves how incredibly important he is. Another knight chimed in to help. Exactly. He possesses the divine power of a saint. Goel sneered, completely unfazed. Oh, I am practically moved to tears. How much effort did you guys put into covering up for this piece of trash? Do not mess with me. If you are going to call him the next saint, then show me his power. The ghost beside him added fuel to the fire. Look at that. He wants to see your power. Why don't you summon a meteor and show him? Ajax retorted in annoyance. Meteor, my ass. Meanwhile, Goel turned around. Right, since you call him a saint. He pointed toward a withered tree. Look over there. The tree had absolutely no life left in it, and it even felt like it was radiating the aura of death. Goel challenged them. That is the symbol of our family. Why don't you have him revive the very thing the family head loves so much? He pointed at the tree with a wicked smile. That holy tree died from the dark mana of the demon race. If he truly has what it takes to be a saint, then reviving a single tree should be child's play for him, right? He smirked sinisterly. Of course. That is only if he really is the saint you claim him to be. Sensing the danger, Rai instinctively shielded his beloved nephew in his arms. Have you even looked at yourself lately? Isaac was also starting to feel a bit uneasy. He lamented in his mind. Melissa, you were a great fighter, but why are your descendants such absolute garbage? He shook his head inwardly. The eldest son is missing, and the fifth son is a total jerk. Right as he was thinking that, something caught his eye. Isaac gasped in shock. Huh? What is that? The ghost grinned. What is it? What did you see? Isaac grabbed the ghost. What do you think? I am trying to watch this. Whoa, why am I getting grabbed by the head? The ghost shrieked in shock. Huh? Someone tossed it away and ordered, get over there and drain it all for me. Before the ghost could even process what was happening, it was already flying through the air. Panicking, it cried, wait. Meanwhile, back at the clearing, Rilai was still arguing with Goel. That tree has been dead for 70 years, and you expect a baby who can't even speak to revive it? Suddenly, a loud rustling sound echoed through the air. Rilai gasped in surprise, while Goel spun around, completely losing his cool. Rilai couldn't believe his eyes. What on earth is that? The sacred tree. The tree before them was no longer a withered, dead piece of wood, dripping with death energy. It was fully revived, lush, and green. Seeing the vibrant tree, Rilai was overjoyed. It actually revived? Goel stood there, completely dumbfounded. Even with purification and restoration magic, that thing was still slowly rotting away. He couldn't believe his eyes. What the hell is going on here? Quite pleased with his uncle's absolute shock, Isaac grinned, thinking, it's no big deal. Rubbing his chin, the baby proudly praised himself. There was just a bit of dark mana lurking around the roots, so I had it sucked dry. The ghost floated back to his side, letting out a weary sigh as it groaned. I absorbed every single drop of mana over there. I'm so stuffed. The squad commander stammered in shock. Lord Rilai, how is that tree? What did you do? Rilai simply replied, I didn't do anything. The commander shifted his gaze. Then, could it be? Sitting in his uncle Rilai's arms, Isaac sighed, babbling baby talk that absolutely no one understood, except for him and his ghost companion. It was all pure mana, what a total waste. The ghost chimed in, so, what now? Do you want me to throw it all back up? The squad commander cheered. Then it must be young Master Isaac's doing. Immediately, the knights erupted into cheers and praises, making the baby jump and startle. Amidst the ecstatic cheering, Goel was the only one who refused to believe it. Seeing his plans derail, he snapped in frustration. This is insane. No one in this family has ever been able to cure that tree. How could a mere baby possibly do it? Desperately clawing for an excuse, he muttered. Someone must have helped him. Meanwhile, the knights were tossing the baby in the air like a war hero, showering him with praises. As expected of young Master Isaac, he's truly built different. On the sidelines, Goel plotted scheme after scheme, thinking, that's it, Rilai must be the one behind this. First exorcism, and now purification. As if a light bulb went off, he clenched his fists, trembling as he demanded, You did this, didn't you? Rilai, utterly confused, replied, What are you talking about? Goel lost his mind, grabbing Rilai by the collar and roaring, You definitely got help from the saintess, didn't you? And then you made it look like this little piece of trash did it all on his own. Rilai grabbed his hands, trying to pry them off. What on earth are you even talking about? Completely losing his mind, Goel screamed, Cut out these cheap tricks of yours. How could I have possibly met the saintess when she's been missing for years? The knights stopped their cheering and watched the two of them with growing concern. Isaac watched this dramatic mess with sheer exhaustion. He thought, Melissa, you really should focus on managing your own family instead of going around hunting demons. Your house is an absolute circus. Staring at this uncle's twisted face, he silently judged. Honestly, this guy who's called my uncle looks absolutely nothing like Melissa. In fact, if someone told me Goel was Melissa in a terrible disguise, I'd probably find it more believable. The ghost gossiped. What about him then? A thought popped into Isaac's head. Honestly, he looks more like that scumbag Pope than anyone else. Goel roared. Stop playing dumb. Do you think I don't know you brought this kid back just to make him the next saint candidate? I can't believe you're using such cheap tricks when our family already has an official candidate. Hearing this, Isaac got curious. There's another candidate in the family? On top of that, this rude bastard clearly wants that other candidate to win. The ghost chuckled. Looks like you've got some competition. But you don't seem to care at all, do you? He smiled mischievously. Don't you think whoever that guy supports is bound to be just as rotten? Beating him is going to be a blast. The ghost thought about it. That actually makes a lot of sense. Uncle Rilai couldn't take it anymore and demanded, So what? Are we just supposed to abandon the boy? He's our nephew, our eldest brother's son. He has every right to lead this family. Goel sneered in contempt. What utter nonsense. Our eldest brother? That coward fled the moment the family was in danger. Then he flew into a rage again. How dare you even bring up that brother, when you only just now let us know this brat even existed? Watching from afar, Isaac was completely unfazed by why he was being shunned. Ah, so that's why I'm getting the cold shoulder. The ghost nagged. You really shouldn't talk about your own life with such indifference. Goel smiled slyly. Oh, but this kid is still the saintess's son, right? He might just be some half-blood the saintess had, whom we just brought in from the outside. Still, she was the saintess. Goel's next words were so infuriating they practically begged for a fist to the face. But we can't even be sure he's actually our brother's kid, can we? I guess his face looks decent enough since he takes after that woman. He kept testing the absolute limits of Rilai's patience. If it benefits the family, I think we can just sell him off to carry on our bloodline. Hearing this, Rilai didn't hesitate for a second and punched him straight in the face. Trembling, Goel shrieked, Are you insane? Did you just strike me? Rilai roared. Did you really think you could get away after spewing that kind of absolute garbage? The knights went completely pale, while Rilai thought to himself with a grin, That is right. Brothers need to have a little friendly sparring once in a while to bond. Thanks to that, I have learned a lot of useful information. Seeing Rilai single-handedly beat Goel to a bloody pulp, the knights rushed over to intervene, dragging Rilai back. My lord, you cannot do this. Someone else shouted, Quick, stop them. Isaac thought indifferently. The more chaotic this family is, the better. It will just make it easier for me to take over. He giggled wickedly in baby talk, thinking, This damn family is already collapsing all on its own. The ghost let out a nervous chuckle and said, Come to think of it, if this family collapses, will you not go down with them? Did your brain shrink along with your baby body? Isaac snapped back, telling it to shut up. After all that chaos, everyone finally headed inside the luxurious mansion. Isaac was placed right on top of the conference table, pouting with a sour face, clearly not happy about it. He thought in annoyance, how incredibly irritating. Around the long conference table, the summoned family members began to whisper and gossip among themselves. Great, another brat? What are we supposed to do with this kid now? Seeing this, Isaac sighed to himself. Not a single person in this crazy family is sane. And they call this knowing how to treat an heir? The whispering continued. Since we took in and raised that country girl to be the saintess, the least she could have done was not give birth to such a useless son. She never deserved to be the saintess anyway. Isaac felt like his head was about to explode. Hey, are you people out of your minds? You are crossing the line. A woman spoke up, instantly silencing the room. She said, Rilai, we already decided to raise this child in the annex to keep him out of the spotlight. This woman was the second wife of the family head, Eli Eshua, and the acting matriarch, Henna Eshua. She demanded, Why did you allow this child to come here? Isaac observed silently. Wow. She is openly showing her hostility. Is she? She is definitely the mastermind behind the people trying to banish me to the annex. Meanwhile, Goel, who had his broken nose bandaged up, was gritting his teeth in fury. The acting matriarch is asking you a question, so why do you not answer? Isaac thought to himself, She must be the aunt of this rude uncle. Uncle number 7, Rilai, ignored the question entirely and asked, "Is father not here?" Henna replied, "He went out to town." "Honestly, this whole business with the saint candidate is a complete mess." Rilai sighed. "What a shame." Then, he dropped a massive bombshell. He really should have been here to hear that the eldest grandson of this family, Isaac, has revived the sacred tree. This shocking news made Henna and Goel leap to their feet. Goel slammed the table, arguing, "That was just a coincidence. How could a mere baby do something like that?" It was clearly the prayers of the Eshua family. They were finally answered. An elderly female elder agreed. "I think so too. Even our own family head could not find a solution. So how could a child like him possibly do it?" Henna crossed her arms, sat back down, and said, "I agree." She smirked deviously. After all, there is absolutely no proof. The elders murmured in agreement. The matriarch is absolutely right. The revival of the sacred tree is truly a blessing indeed. Isaac looked at them with pure mockery, thinking, "Just look at these fools." He reached his tiny hands forward. "You want proof, huh?" A brilliant blue light surged forth, making Goel and Henna freeze in their tracks. The elders and Rilai were utterly speechless. Right before their eyes, a blue crystal condensed together as Isaac held out his hands. The little guy smirked, thinking, "Take a good look." One of the elders stammered, That energy." Staring at the crystal floating in front of Isaac, the elder gasped, It is the power of the sacred tree." Isaac babbled, "How is that for a surprise, you amateurs?" Inside the luxurious room, the elders gathered around the table to discuss, and one of them spoke up. "It appears Isaac has successfully purged the mana that was corroding the sacred tree." Another elder gasped in disbelief. "What did you say?" "It is true that there was mana corrupting the sacred tree, but a mere infant managed to purify it?" The female elder sitting next to him replied, "Is that not the most logical explanation we have right now? The child literally materialized that very mana right before our eyes, did he not?" Another elder pushed up his glasses and spoke with a thoughtful look. "That is true. But even if this purification method is effective, it is certainly no simple task. Even the slightest mistake could have completely killed the sacred tree. That is exactly why the family head chose a periodic purification method instead of a direct exorcism." Goel stared at everyone in sheer panic and disbelief. What on earth are they talking about? There is absolutely no way an infant could do something like that. Rilai nodded in complete agreement with the elders. Isaac must have instinctively purged the dark mana. Sitting right next to him, Isaac crossed his tiny arms with a smug grin, thinking, "Exactly." Then, everyone heard Rilai continue. "A child who is still drinking breast milk has just achieved something that no one in the Holy Church has been able to do for 70 years. Hearing this, Goel glared at Rilai with pure hatred, wondering what on earth he was talking about. Goel slammed his fist onto the table in protest. "Elders! Do you really believe this ridiculous nonsense?" he screamed in rage. "An infant purifying dark mana? He does not even know how to speak yet. If word of this gets out, people will surely laugh right in our faces. Look at him. The idea that he is even from the Eshua line is a joke. What if he actually comes from some completely nameless family?" Isaac boredly picked at his ear, completely ignoring the gossip as the discussion dragged on. Then, Leah spoke up with a serious expression. "Respected elders, please hear me out. This child is destined to become a saint. He could even become the next pope." Hearing this, Isaac smirked to himself, thinking, "Spot on." Suddenly, a hand grabbed him and hoisted him high into the air. Then, Isaac heard the voice continue. "And on top of that, this child is destined to destroy the Skeleton King." Isaac panicked, thinking, "Wait, what the hell? You should have stopped while you were ahead." At the mention of the Skeleton King, the elders immediately began whispering. "The Skeleton King? That vile, wretched creature?" Hearing this, a woman sneered and muttered under her breath, "You are digging your own grave, Leah." She then glared right at Eli and Isaac, saying, "Since you are so confident, why don't we put him to the test?" Shrouded in the shadows, she rested her chin on her hands, a cruel smile spreading across her dark face. "I demand that we open the relic vault." Meanwhile, in the dry, thorny depths of the Black Forest, located in the northwest of the Holy Kingdom of Hela, the air was thick with the stench of death. A monster's throat had just been slashed, spraying fresh blood across the ground. A man stood calmly in front of the beast's corpse. His black cloak billowed in the wind as a bizarre, eerie mist swirled around him. Sheathing his sword, he muttered, "This place is worthless." A guard approached from behind, dropping to one knee in a respectful salute. "My lord, greetings to the family head." Without turning around, the man coldly asked, "What is it?" The guard quickly replied, "Your representative at the estate has requested to open the relic vault, sir." The man kept walking forward. His voice grew impatient. "I made it clear that the Holy See is not allowed to use it." The guard hurriedly clarified, "It is not a request from the Holy See, sir. Your grandson has successfully revived the sacred tree, so the acting matriarch wants to see if the child truly has the qualities of a saint." Startled, the man spun around and marched right up to the guard. "What do you mean?" the man demanded, clenching his fists and glaring down at the guard. "Why would there be a saint in our family?" This man was none other than the head of the Eshua family, Eli Eshua. He glared at the guard and gave a strict order. "I cannot allow this. Only a saintess can survive inside that place. Tell them to avoid any unnecessary conflicts. There are no exceptions. Tell them to go ahead with it." Suddenly, a figure with long white hair dressed in elegant, noble attire stepped up beside them and asked with an amused look, "Who did you say that was?" This woman was the former saintess and matriarch of the Eshua family, Melissa Eshua. She smiled and murmured, "Reviving the sacred tree. Isn't that impressive? Since the vault is going to be opened anyway, why don't we just send all the saint and saintess candidates in there together?" Hearing this, the guard instantly panicked. "What?" Seeing the amusement in matriarch Melissa's eyes and the patriarch's silence, the guard could only grit his teeth and ask, "But if we do that, what if a child from another family manages to take a valuable treasure from the vault?" Melissa smiled as she replied, "I actually hope they do. Not even the greatest saintesses of past generations could retrieve a single thing from that vault. And who knows, if someone actually manages to retrieve it, they might even find and destroy the Skeleton King." A calculating glint flashed in her eyes. "In that case, we should definitely reward them." Melissa then turned to the guard and ordered him to deliver a message. "Whoever brings out the greatest treasure from the vault will receive a reward that even the Pope himself cannot buy. They will receive the legendary heirloom of the Eshua family." The guard broke into a cold sweat. Meanwhile, Melissa cheerfully added, "And they will be personally trained by me in the family's secret arts." Clenching her fists in pure excitement, she squealed, "Whatever that child wants, I will grant it." Legend has it that the relic vault holds not only sacred relics, but also an ancient secret technique dating back thousands of years. For generations, the saintesses have guarded the vault, which is why people say the Eshua family are the true masters of this archive. Since only children under the age of 10 are permitted to enter, the vault is typically used as a rite of passage for saintess candidates. When these children turn 1, they enter the vault to choose an item. People would then predict what kind of power the future saintess would possess based on the item she brought back. However, the vault is an incredibly dangerous place. Even saintess candidates face life-threatening risks just by stepping inside. After a series of tragic incidents, the vault was sealed shut. A dark shadow chuckled menacingly. "Let's see," it murmured, staring intently at Isaac. "If my master can survive and bring back a treasure." Isaac scowled in annoyance, basically asking, "Why the hell are you narrating all that?" But the specter floating above his head didn't skip a beat. "Good point. But you're looking forward to it too, aren't you, master?" Isaac's eyes gleamed as he replied, "Of course." Filled with anticipation, he continued, "They say the corpse of the Skeleton Demon King is kept in there." Suddenly, a hand reached down and scooped him out of his crib. "Aren't you excited?" The young master who commands the Blue Knights smiled and told Isaac, "The matriarch has opened the vault to all candidates." Isaac was secretly shocked. "Wait, all of them?" As if to answer Isaac's question, he happily tossed him into the air and said, "Every single descendant of the 5 noble families will be coming here. Even though that cursed Pope's family is coming too, I'm absolutely sure you'll win no matter what." Watching this happen, the specter could only sigh, "Young master, looks like they're really blowing this out of proportion." Isaac was being tossed high in the air, but his mind was spinning with calculations. "This is actually fine. The more people there are, the easier they'll get distracted. That means it'll be way easier for me to get my body back." As Isaac fell back down, someone else caught him, and he heard a warm, familiar voice. "You have to be careful, Isaac." Riley held Isaac up to his face and warned, "Demons captured from the battlefield will be guarding that place." Isaac made a mental note of it. Dangerous because of guarding demons? Then he thought to himself, if they were easy enough to get captured, they're probably level 6 at best. I just need to overpower them. But before Isaac could finish planning, Riley totally rained on his parade. Those level 8 demons are no joke, he said as he placed Isaac back in his crib. Hearing this, Isaac instantly froze. What the hell? Why on earth are level 8 demons even there? To make things worse, the commander added, still, that level 9 dragon is probably the worst of them all. Riley chuckled. Well, if we're only talking about levels, then yeah. Hearing their conversation, the Spectre could only cry in despair. The entire Joshua family must be insane. A dragon in a place where a bunch of toddlers are going? Isaac was completely speechless too. The Spectre tried to comfort him. Well, at least you know quite a lot about dragons, right? Hearing no response, the Spectre turned and saw Isaac trembling, biting his nails, sweat pouring down his face. The Spectre gasped. Huh? What is it now? Meanwhile, Isaac thought in a total panic. Oh crap, dragons are on a whole different level of danger. After a long pause, the Spectre heard Isaac speak. Well, I did trick them a few times. The Spectre asked, how many exactly? Thinking of how furious the dragons he scammed must be. Wait, did that bastard actually scam baby dragons too? What the hell did he even sell to those little ones? They weren't even 3 years old. If ancient dragons got scammed, of course baby dragons did too. God damn that motherfucking skeleton. Isaac stammered, only about 70? Then he suddenly remembered something. Oh no, this is bad. They have incredible memories. They'll recognize my soul. The Spectre gave his master a sly grin. Well, maybe it's time for me to find a new boss. Gritting his teeth in anger, Isaac glared at him. I can hear you, you know. He slammed his chubby little hands down on the crib. Filled with burning determination, he realized he had no choice. So, there are level 8 demons and a level 9 dragon guarding the relic vault. But the current me can barely handle level 6 demons. To fight them, I'll have to steal all of the Joshua family's mana cores. Looking at the Spectre's completely helpless face, Isaac said excitedly, let's head to the annex. A new day began, and the first rays of morning light warmed the magnificent palace. Inside a quiet room, little Isaac sat behind the door, buried in a book. The Cloud floated nearby and asked hesitantly, Master, are you okay? Getting no reply, it asked once more. Master, are you really okay? Isaac kept his eyes glued to the book, his face looking completely pale, and stammered, yeah, he had thought that if he could master holy power, learning these 3 spells would be a piece of cake. Why the hell is it getting more and more frustrating? I haven't even been weaned yet. Now I just need to manipulate his mind and force him to teach me. The Cloud squealed in excitement. Master, you want to use dark magic right under the priest's noses. You're gonna bury this whole house, and then summon some super cool demons, right? Crawling on the floor, Isaac frowned and glared at it. What the hell happened to your personality over the last 150 years? The Cloud gave an awkward chuckle. Staring tiredly at the book, Isaac rubbed his eyes and thought, there's no way I can understand all this theory on my own. Little Isaac let out a tired yawn when suddenly, a hand grabbed him. You look absolutely exhausted. Riley and the commander of the Blue Knights walked in. He picked him up, cradling him warmly. I bet you've had a very busy day. Isaac grumbled internally. You think? Kids my age need to sleep 16 hours a day. While Riley was tucking Isaac back into his crib, the commander picked up the book, looking completely puzzled. After putting Isaac down, he opened his palm in front of the baby's face and muttered, recovery. A golden light enveloped Isaac. Ooh, that's a neat spell. Come on, cast another one. Seeing that Isaac had stopped chanting, his uncle turned to talk to the commander. Isaac immediately seized the opportunity to scramble out of his crib, but the Cloud quickly tried to stop him. Please stay put, the Cloud pleaded, then continued. You need to get to the annex as soon as possible. You can't exactly keep it hidden here, right? Isaac suddenly remembered. Oh right, the annex. I need to get rid of these guys as quickly as possible. Noticing how quiet it had gotten behind them, Ryan and the commander quickly turned around to check. Seeing Isaac pretend sleeping face down in his crib, the Cloud mentally scoffed. What a terrible actor. Clutching the spellbook to his chest, the commander smiled and said, Lord Isaac fell asleep so quickly. Ryan chimed in with praise as well. He is such an amazing child, so quick at everything. Hearing this, the Cloud wanted to scream at them. Are you guys all out of your minds? Seeing that Isaac was fast asleep, Ryan suggested. It is getting late, shall we head out? The commander agreed. Yes, I have to go train anyway. Meanwhile, the cloud was utterly baffled. Unbelievable. Isaac watched as they got ready to leave. He lay in his crib with a smug grin, but then he suddenly heard them add, "However, that totem looks quite dangerous. I think we should take it outside." Isaac instantly panicked. Before stepping out, Ryan turned back to instruct the commander. "It is a precious item, the very first totem that belongs to Isaac, so please make sure it is kept safe." The commander quickly replied, "Yes, sir." Hearing this, Isaac mentally protested, "I still have to restore it. Who said you could just take it?" Before they walked out, he heard them say, "I will display it in the most prominent spot." He could only weep on the inside. "My totem. I didn't even get the chance to drain the mana from it yet." The moment the door closed, Isaac sprang right up. "Fine then, I will just drain the mana core in the annex, dry." He quickly used his tiny baby body to scramble out of the crib. The cloud asked Isaac weakly, "Are you seriously planning to crawl all the way to the annex?" Isaac replied, "I have my ways. Now, open the door for me." The cloud immediately floated quickly toward the door. "Yes, of course, at your service," it mumbled to itself as it hurried over. "There is absolutely no way I am carrying you there." But the moment it reached the door, the cloud froze. Huh? Behind it, Isaac had just fallen out of the crib, landing flat on his back with his limbs in the air. Before he could even feel the pain, he heard the cloud speak. "That uncle of yours locked the door. The entire locking mechanism is on the outside, and he even cast a spell on it." Isaac was so angry he wanted to spit blood. That annoying uncle. He ordered the cloud to break the door down. But thinking of the guards outside, the cloud tried to talk him out of it. "They will think you are under attack and swarm this place in seconds." Isaac cursed. "Damn it!" He angrily slammed his hand against the door. Frustrated, he thought, "This is driving me crazy. I won't be able to stand the gossip if I get caught. If I use magic, things will only get worse." Suddenly, the door creaked open. Isaac, who was standing right in front of the door, racking his brain on how on earth he was going to escape, got slammed right in the face by the door. A boy around 5 or 6 years old pushed the door open and walked in, holding a bandaged prosthetic arm in his hands. He stared intently at Isaac, who was sprawled on the floor, and gasped in surprise. "This kid can't even walk yet." The boy who had just walked in was the son of Goel Eshua, a candidate for the holy office from the Eshua family, 5-year-old Shuri Eshua. Isaac quickly reached up to touch his nose in panic, staring at the boy in front of him. Shuri glared, thinking to himself, "This guy must be my nemesis." Looking at Isaac, he thought, "A totem that even a genius like me couldn't create." He clenched the toy in his hand tightly. There's no way this little brat could make it. He opened his hand, and suddenly, in his palm, a ring of golden light appeared. Shuri looked at the sight in excitement. Raising his hand, his eyes filled with malice. "I am the one who deserves to be ordained." Meanwhile, Isaac innocently crawled to his feet, catching a glimpse of him casting a spell onto the toy not far away, while mumbling, "You dare covet what belongs to me." But as he was speaking, "This is my perfect chance to escape that bossy Eshua." Suddenly, the boy shrieked as the toy from earlier slammed right onto his head. Isaac burst into giggles, thinking, "I found a horse to ride." Shuri's face darkened with rage as he demanded, "Do you have any idea who I am?" Since babies can't talk, Isaac answered in his head, "You look exactly like that thug of an uncle, so you must be his son." With that, Isaac quickly grabbed the toy again, a smug look on his face. "I saw you channeling mana to attack me, you little punk." Isaac repeatedly whacked Shuri with the toy. "Serves you right." The cloud floating nearby cheered him on. "Great hit, master." As Isaac kept hitting him, he thought, "You brat, get ready to be my horse." Shuri couldn't even fight back. He could only take the beating in silence, until he finally resorted to using his holy power to block it. "Do you really think you are better than me?" Isaac smiled and stroked his chin, acting surprised. Shuri continued boastfully, "What's there to be surprised about? No one my age can use level 3 holy defensive magic." He sneered as he concentrated his holy power. "You are surprised way too early." Isaac silently watched him channel his holy power. Level 3 offensive holy power, holy light rings of white light materialized in midair. "Take this." Isaac stared in awe at the holy power before him, thinking, "Wow, pretty impressive." Then he smirked, "Thanks for the meal." What happened next left Shuri utterly terrified. All he saw was a crescent ring of purple light as a massive barrier enveloped Isaac. Shuri stared at the baby, his eyes wide with panic. How did a defensive spell get amplified this much? Watching Isaac play with the spell, Suri thought, how does he already know how to use it when Uncle hasn't even taught it to me yet? Isaac babbled as if trying to say, thanks for the lesson, pal. Suri whipped his head around in disbelief. No way. Suri froze as Isaac giggled and pointed right at him. Seeing the spell turn and fly back in his direction, Suri stammered in fear. Wait, hold on. Isaac sat back, watching with a smug grin on his face. The Phantom said, the entire Joshua family must be out of their minds, throwing a dragon into a room full of newborns like this. It continued, though, Master, at least your knowledge of dragons is incredibly deep. Suddenly, Isaac anxiously bit the Phantom's hand in a panic. What was wrong now? At that moment, Isaac thought, oh, crap. Now that I think about it, dragons really are dangerous. I scammed them for a pretty long time. The Phantom asked, just how much did you scam them for? That bastard ripped off all those baby dragons. What on earth did you sell to those kids? They weren't even 300 years old, and a bunch of adult dragons got scammed too. You bony bastard, how does around 70 of them sound? Isaac grew worried. This is bad. Those guys hold grudges forever. They're going to recognize my soul. The Phantom replied, well, isn't this the perfect chance for me to switch places with you, Master? Isaac snapped back. I heard that. Then, slamming his hand down, he realized he had no other choice. Suri stood completely frozen, staring at Isaac, who was riding on the shoulders of a massive demonic shadow, with blood-red eyes glaring right back at him. Isaac babbled, what are you doing? He flashed an excited grin, thinking, hey, poker face, hurry up and carry me. Ultimately, Suri let Isaac grab tight onto his hair. He was terrified, keeping a watchful eye on every single movement of the demonic spirit. Even so, his hands kept a tight grip on Isaac's legs to make sure he wouldn't fall. He thought to himself in a panic, right, I need to focus on getting out of here alive first. While Isaac was enjoying his ride on Suri's shoulders, he yanked on his hair until it was a complete mess. Suri's body wouldn't stop shaking. Helplessly carrying Isaac, he was absolutely paralyzed with fear. His voice trembled as he cried out, someone, please help me. Under the pitch-black night sky, lit only by the bright moon above, Isaac's continuous babbling echoed softly through the silent garden. With one hand clutching Suri's hair and the other pointing his toy, Isaac's tiny mouth kept barking orders. Left, go left. Carrying Isaac on his back, Suri dragged his exhausted feet, following the baby's every command. Suri finally stopped, gasping heavily for air. Annoyed, Isaac frowned and snapped. Are you trying to get us killed? Wake up, Suri asked exhaustedly. Where are you even going in the middle of the night? Suddenly, he took a step back, looking up at what lay ahead in sheer horror. This is, drenched in sweat, he stammered in absolute terror. This is the second annex of the Joshua family, the haunted house. While Isaac was lost in thought and the Phantom observer snickered, Suri panicked. Why did this crazy kid drag me here? So many people died inside. Even the family head banned anyone from entering. Suddenly, both Isaac and the Phantom observer grew excited. Giggling, the Phantom observer muttered, looks like there are dozens of them here. Looking at the scattered beams of light throughout the house, it remarked, you'd usually have to risk your life training for decades just to gather this much mana. Waving his toy around to urge Suri inside, Isaac thought, let's go, kiddo. Understanding the gesture, Suri shrieked in horror. You want to go inside? No, we can't go in there. The adults strictly warned us not to. Before he could even finish his sentence, the demonic spirit suddenly appeared right in his face, threateningly whispering, shut up and move, kid. Inside, the faint moonlight seeped through the dusty glass windows. Carrying Isaac on his shoulders, Suri took each step with extreme caution. Resting his arms on Suri's head, Isaac slowly scanned the surroundings and thought, the inside looks even worse. Suddenly, his eyes flashed. Staring at a nearby door, he thought, huh? Wait. Just then, the Phantom observer reappeared and said, the entire building is sealed, Master. Every single door here is protected by some kind of barrier. Hearing this, he slumped lazily on top of Suri's head, thinking, what a pain. Still terrified, Suri urged, hey, let's go back. Everything in here is locked up. But Isaac suddenly yanked his hair to the left and babbled loudly. Suri shrieked in pain. Ouch, what is it? Trying to pry Isaac's hands away, he cried, let go. Then, glancing in the direction Isaac was pointing, he gasped. Huh? The moonlight filtering through the window illuminated dusty portrait frames, hanging solemnly on the old wall. He looked up at them and muttered, "The former heads of the family." Staring up at the portraits, Suri scoffed at him. "Are you actually eyeing the position of family head already?" He smirked confidently and added, "Too bad for you. The next family head is definitely going to be me." Completely ignoring him, Isaac's face turned dark and menacing. Clutching the toy in his hand, he swung his arm with immense force, aiming straight at a portrait on the wall. Watching the glass shatter into pieces, Suri's jaw dropped in sheer horror. But Isaac wasn't done yet. He kept waving his arm, throwing the toy over and over again. Suri tore his hair out as the remaining photo frames shattered, completely ignoring his frantic attempts to stop it. "Those are our ancestors. Are you out of your mind? What on earth are you doing to the family heads?" Once he was done, he held the toy in his hand, smiling coolly as he spoke. "Right? Why would anyone put a barrier on a portrait anyway?" The ghost of the observer appeared once again, happily announcing, "The barrier has been broken, Master." Isaac smiled smugly, thinking, "Perfect." With that, Isaac leaped right off Suri's back onto the ground. As he walked away, he said, "Let's go." Suri panicked, quickly calling out, "Hey, where do you think you're going?" After landing safely on the ground, Isaac rolled over and over to a different spot, with the ghost of the observer floating above, leaving Suri standing there all alone. Suri stood there, screaming in anger, "Hey, are you out of your mind? Where do you think you're going after causing all this chaos?" Rolling right up to a door, Isaac threw it wide open. Staring at the sparkling manna filling the room, he excitedly exclaimed, "Jackpot!" Suri ran as fast as his legs could carry him toward Isaac, but Isaac simply gave a command. "Whisper, lock the door." As the door slowly began to close, Suri saw this from outside and tried to sprint even faster, desperately screaming for him to stop. "Hey, stop, just stop, what are you doing?" Right before the door slammed shut, Isaac turned around and smirked. He thought disdainfully, "A little brat like you doesn't need to know." Outside, Suri was still screaming, "Hey kid." As the door shut, Isaac sat down properly, placed his hands on his lap, and exhaled deeply. Activating his magic, he murmured to himself, "Let's get started." Outside, Suri pounded on the door with all his might, yelling threats, "Get out of there right now. I'm going to tell the adults everything." He kept banging on the door, screaming, "I'll tell them exactly what you did, and I'll make sure you get kicked out of here." He was so distracted that he didn't notice a figure standing behind him in the distance. Joshua, who had just arrived with a group of people, called out, "Suri." Hearing that familiar voice, Suri instantly froze. He slowly turned around in disbelief as Joshua asked, "What are you doing here?" Seeing him, Suri said in relief, "Uncle, you came at the perfect time." "Isaac, that little monster." Before he could even finish, the elder snapped, "Suri, what do you think you're doing? No matter what the excuse is, you know very well that the annex is strictly off limits. What were you thinking bringing him here?" Suri froze, letting out a confused, awkward laugh. She continued, "Do you have any idea how many people saw you carrying Isaac here on your back? Furthermore, there are traces of offensive holy magic in Isaac's bedroom. You are solely responsible for all of this. Understand?" Hearing this, Suri stammered in panic. "No. It's true that I brought him here, and some of that offensive holy magic was indeed mine." But Joshua placed a hand on his shoulder, his voice dropping, "Suri, you've crossed the line this time. No matter the reason, you targeted a child who hasn't even been weaned yet." His expression turned stern as he demanded, "Where did you lock Isaac up?" Suri panicked, quickly waving his hands. "I didn't lock him up anywhere." His outburst left everyone shocked. Isaac went in there by himself. Joshua then stepped forward. He rushed to the door and called out, "Isaac, are you in there?" He touched the handle and gasped, "It's locked?" "Oh, heavens." Just then, the door clicked open. Standing in the pitch-black room was Isaac, sobbing uncontrollably. Joshua cried out in heartbreak, "Isaac!" The elder rushed over, asking anxiously, "Are you all right, Isaac?" "Oh my goodness, the poor boy is absolutely terrified." Suri, on the other hand, was completely dumbfounded. His face was a mix of shock and suspicion. Joshua pulled the sobbing Isaac into a warm hug and sighed, "Thank goodness you're safe. He's shaken up, but thank goodness he's not hurt." Joshua then shot a razor-sharp glare at Suri. As he turned to leave, he threw a cold warning over his shoulder. "Suri, you should be ashamed of yourself." Tears began to stream down Suri's face. He pleaded helplessly, "No, that's not what happened, Uncle. I swear." Suddenly, Isaac spoke in a low whisper that only Suri could hear. Flashing a cruel, mocking smirk, Isaac whispered, "Thanks a lot. Because of you, I got to enjoy a delicious meal." Hearing that, Suri lost his mind with rage. He screamed in pure frustration. "You little bastard." Shocked, the elder blurted out, "Suri?" Meanwhile, the surrounding followers looked at Isaac and whispered, "Why does the boy look so flushed? Is it because it's so cold in here?" One of them sighed. Poor thing, to go through something like this at such a young age. Feeling the pool of mana stored in his pocket, Isaac smirked to himself. "This is way more than I expected. In just one go, I managed to absorb 100 years worth of mana." Clenching his fist, he thought, "Yes, with this much power." He let out a silent, wicked laugh. Meanwhile, noticing the odd look on his face, Joshua thought, he must have been absolutely terrified. Sometime later, at a grand castle, someone turned to Isaac and said, "Isaac, there's someone I want you to meet." Isaac looked up, thoroughly bored. Joshua then introduced the boy's new assistant. "This is Asili. From now on, she will be your personal assistant." Asili respectfully placed her hand over her heart and introduced herself. "I am Asili, a holy knight of the Joshua family." Dropping to one knee, she bowed her head in a solemn display of loyalty, declaring, "I shall serve you until my very last breath." Hearing this, Isaac looked away with utter indifference, though he thought to himself, "So they've sent a watchdog to keep an eye on me. Is this because of what happened last time?" Giving a disgusted look while leaning on his other arm, he pointed at Asili and barked, "Hey, you!" Isaac kept up the act, shouting, "Forget it, get out of my sight." Asili just stared blankly at him before stepping closer. She leaned down, blushing furiously as her hands trembled. "Please, just let me pinch your cheeks once." Isaac stared at her in utter confusion, thinking, "Why is everyone in this house so crazy?" Meanwhile, Rilai smiled warmly. He pulled something out from his clothes and held it out to him, saying, "Oh, Isaac." He showed him a ring. "This is a gift from your uncle." Isaac looked at the plain-looking ring in his hand, his face darkening. "Did he pick this up from the trash?" I thought I misheard, but even the ghost beside him sneered at the ring. "It looks like the Eshua family is really in a crisis. How could he call this trash a fitting gift for my master's first birthday?" The moment Asili saw the ring, she lunged toward Isaac, staring in utter shock. "Oh my goodness, is that not the saintess's heirloom?" Rilai stood next to him, gently patting his head with a smile. "Yes, the saintess's heirloom. Your uncle got it from the council just for you." Isaac's eyes widened in surprise. "Wow, it is the real deal." An image of the saintess flashed in his mind, wearing the glowing ring. "This is the very ring she used in her battle against me. An ancient ring containing holy magic." As he held the glowing ring, he could feel its incredible holy power. Isaac smirked, thinking to himself that even though it might break after just 1 or 2 uses, he knew exactly how to fix it. He suddenly looked up. Over there, Goel was leaning against a tree, glaring at them with sheer jealousy. Seeing that angry, jealous face, Isaac knew for sure that the ring was the real deal. He was glaring at his own little nephew as if he wanted to wipe him off the face of the earth. Goel Eshua walked over to them while Isaac watched him in confusion. "Oh, my sweet little nephew, Isaac." He put on a fake smile, cooing, "Oh, you are just so adorable." Goel put on a whole show of fake concern, leaving both Isaac and the ghost watching him in utter disbelief. "I hope you are settling in well here." Isaac cringed inwardly. What kind of disgusting nonsense is this? Staring at Goel's overly friendly face, Isaac thought, "This guy has lost his mind. Damn it, things are getting way too complicated." Isaac stared at the ring, recalling his plan. "I broke the blessing device in the relic treasury, so he could never receive a blessing. But I never expected them to replace it with the saintess's heirloom." Flashback to a moment ago. The elder handed the ring to Rilai, saying, "Since Isaac did not receive a blessing, we have no choice but to give him this." Goel stared at the ring in shock. "The saintess's heirloom?" He then pleaded with the elder, begging, "Please, give that to my child instead." The elder frowned. "Give it to Shuri?" She sighed heavily and waved her hand, dismissing him from the room. "Has he not already received the blessing of the Holy See? Do not be greedy. Now, leave." Goel Eshua gritted his teeth, thinking back to his plan. "I was planning to steal it under the guise of donating to the Holy See. There is no way that little brat understands the true value of this heirloom anyway." Out loud, Goel sneered, "If you are going to give him a gift, you should at least give him something decent. That ring is completely useless." Hearing this, Rilai immediately fired back. "Useless? How can you speak of the saintess's sacred artifact that way? Goel Eshua gave a sly smile, holding up a small box. Isaac is also my precious nephew. I could never stand by and watch you give him such a useless item. He opened the box to reveal a ring that was far shinier than the saintess's heirloom. He tried to tempt him, saying, "This ring was blessed directly by the Holy See." He kept rambling about how amazing it was, while Rilai just stood there, looking at him with utter confusion. Out of all the relics, this one is by far the most useful. It is a priceless treasure that a child like Isaac could never dream of obtaining. He knelt down close to Isaac, holding out the glittering ring to entice him. See? Am I right? But the moment he reached out to snatch the saintess's heirloom, Isaac punched him dead in the face. He grabbed the flashy ring box and snapped, "This piece of trash reeks of the Pope's disgusting stench. Get lost." With that, Isaac hurled the flashy ring away, shouting, "Get this garbage out of my face." The ring flew straight into the lake. Goel Eshua gasped in horror as it sank. "What do you think you are doing? Find that ring right now." Goel Eshua glared at Isaac, boiling with rage. "That ring is worth 1,000 times more than the trash I tried to trick you with." Rilai looked at his own hand holding the saintess's ring and smiled warmly. "Even so, you still chose my gift?" He reached his arms out to Isaac. "Isaac, my beloved nephew," he cheered, throwing his hands in the air with a bright laugh. "From now on, your uncle will give you only the very best." Asili stood beside him and copied him, throwing her hands up and cheering, "Hooray for young Master Isaac." Meanwhile, the guards were forced to wade through the deep water, desperately searching for the discarded ring. "It is too deep, my lord." Goel Eshua stood by, his face dark with rage as he barked at them. "Find it at all costs. Find it even if it costs you your lives." Isaac happily crossed his arms with a smug grin. "Looks like I win. I already cast a gravity spell, so they will never find it." The ghost beside him quickly chimed in with some flattery, saying that is his master for you. "Your determination to never touch such a smelly item is truly admirable." But Isaac just ordered the ghost to go pick it up tomorrow morning anyway. The shocked ghost asked, "Me?" To which Isaac arrogantly shot back, "Who else? Me?" Recalling how Goel Joshua clutched his head and screamed, Isaac was sure the item was incredibly valuable. He told the ghost, "That thing is worth a fortune. I am going to sell it." Goel slammed his hand on the table, yelling, "That little brat." Slumping over with clenched fists, he muttered angrily, "He has no idea how valuable that thing is." Then he sank dejectedly into his chair and muttered, "Whatever. It is not like that brat has any freaking clue how to use an ancient ring anyway." Goel kept rambling to comfort himself, saying, "That thing can only be used by someone who cannot perform holy arts, and it requires absorbing the holy power of at least 20 people to activate, which is practically impossible." He gave a sinister laugh and added, "I doubt even 10 people will show up for his birthday anyway." The next day, the luxurious mansion was bustling and packed with people, with both adults and children everywhere. Seeing this, Asili happily exclaimed, "This is amazing. There are over 148 saint candidates here. Including nobles and servants, there are about 4,000 people here today." Holding Isaac in her arms, she happily spoke to Joshua Rhine. "Every single ducal house has arrived, along with dozens of Marquis families. Even other nations have sent their own saint candidates. It is incredible. Even the emperor is here." Isaac's face darkened as he thought, "Why the heck are there so many saint candidates? Did those lazy gods just scatter them randomly everywhere?" The ghost beside him chimed in with a smirk. "Yep, they are absolutely the type to do that." With a serious expression, Joshua Rhine pondered deeply and said, "I did not see this coming. I thought no one would show up, even though I suspected it was a trap." Just then, someone pushed the door open and walked in, saying, "Of course they would not think it is a trap, my friend." Simon cheerfully walked toward them and said, "Long time no see, Rhine." He was the head of one of the 3 major merchant guilds in the Empire, and Rhine's best friend. Surprised to see him, Earl Rhine asked, "Simon, you came too?" Simon laughed out loud and replied, "The rumors have already spread across the entire empire." He cheerfully added, "Of course I had to come." Both Rhine and Asili frowned upon hearing Simon's words. Everyone knows this is not a trap, which is why they decided to participate. After all, even those weak-willed boys from the Joshua family showed up. He kept rambling on. Not to mention whatever the head of the Joshua family put up as a bet. How could I possibly miss out on that? Even the papal family is bound to show up. Hearing Simon's words, Isaac thought to himself, what on earth did she bet? Ryan found it hard to believe what Simon just said. Stop joking, there is no way the papal family would attend. But Simon just nonchalantly shrugged and replied, just a hunch. There is no way those unfriendly royals would show up in the Josua territory anyway. They absolutely despise this place, because it is crawling with commoners, except for the Barisa family. Suddenly, a dark silhouette appeared at the doorway of the room they were talking in and whispered, Simon, lower your voice. To which Simon asked, why should I? My son, Armon, is also a saint candidate, you know. Besides, this event is hosted by the Josua family. The papal family has absolutely no reason to get involved. The mysterious dark figure grabbed the doorknob and warned, you need to watch your mouth. Just as Simon was speaking, the door creaked open, and someone stepped inside. Everyone looked toward the entrance in alarm. Don't pay any attention to those people. Their faces always look like they just stepped in hot garbage. Our ancestors used to say there is nothing more dangerous than a vulgar friend. Cardinal Berit opened the door and made his entrance, proving that the wisdom of the ancients is indeed correct. Both Ryan and Simon gasped in fear. With a sinister look on his face, Cardinal Berit slowly walked toward them and sneered. Just think about it. The pathetic man of the Josua family actually hosting an event like this, desperately hoping his kid can fetch something from the holy reliquary just to save face for his family. He let out a wicked laugh and added, I am quite curious to see how the child of the Josua family dares to claim to be a saint candidate. Hearing his harsh words, Asili instinctively held Isaac tighter, on high alert. To think I haven't even met him yet. He then smirked and said, well, at least this is a golden opportunity for you. Berit placed a hand over his chest. However, his smug expression and the dark, gloomy aura surrounding him completely contradicted his polite words. I sincerely pray that the saint candidate can elevate your family's reputation. Ryan broke out in a cold sweat, thinking, this is definitely a scam set up by the Holy See. The number of black-robed figures keeps growing, and the fact that the number of saint candidates spiked from 25 to 148 in just a week was already highly suspicious. The only logical explanation is that the Holy See is deliberately turning a blind eye to these saint candidates popping up out of nowhere. With blood splattering all around, everyone is desperate for their own child to be chosen as the saint candidate. Once these children enter the holy reliquary, they will inevitably try to eliminate their weakest rivals. Clenching his fists, Ryan thought, they might even harm the boy in the midst of the chaos. He glanced back at Asili, who was still cradling Isaac. If that happens, Asili and the child looked at their uncle with confused expressions, while Ryan thought with deep concern, Isaac will be in grave danger. A child of the Eshua family, represented by a stone statue of a woman cradling a baby in her arms. Aside from his family's outstanding prestige and reputation, he is completely useless. However, to those who want to steal the elite lineage of the Eshua family, or those seeking to curry favor with the Pope's family, as well as those who despise the saint's bloodline, that Eshua child is nothing but the perfect prey. A mysterious cloaked figure stands before a child, whispering, let's mess with this Eshua brat a little. The child takes the vial handed over by the mysterious figure, a potion that won't kill him, but will leave him completely helpless. Mix this drug into his water and use the holy poison. Empty glass vials now lay scattered across the floor. Let's teach this brat how cruel the world can really be. The other young children turn pale with horror, staring at something in unison. Turn him into a total laughingstock in front of everyone. Meanwhile, a child sits on the floor, chugging down the drink. The pile of empty glass bottles grows, declaring to the world that this Eshua kid could never become a saint. After downing a massive amount, Isaac happily wipes his mouth with a bright grin, shouting, that was so delicious. The other kids watch in utter horror. You guys, I'm so scared. Just how many bottles has he chugged? Isaac throws an empty vial right at one of the kids' heads, loudly demanding more. Bring me more. This weak poison can't kill me. Isaac thrashes around on the floor, screaming for another round. The child who just got hit on the head bursts into tears, crying, I want to go home. This is too scary. Two people whisper in the shadows. What is wrong with that kid? I thought you spiked it with laxatives. Or did you grab the wrong bottle? The onlookers start whispering among themselves. Oh gosh, he's so bizarre. I don't think that's it. Let's just get out of here. Hearing the whispers, Shuri can only facepalm, silently cursing Isaac in her mind. Why does he keep chugging the spiked bottles? Shuri continues to curse internally, dying of embarrassment. Ugh, this is so humiliating. Stop dragging the Eshua name through the dirt. Someone walks over to Isaac, who is still happily drinking away. Annoyed, Shuri storms over and snatches the bottle away, stopping Isaac from drinking anymore. Stop it! Are you really that thirsty? She hands him another bottle, saying, Here, if you're so desperate to drink, have this instead. Before she can even finish, a bottle is thrown right at her face as Isaac screams, That one isn't poisoned. When someone takes the bottle away, Isaac immediately grabs their pants hem, throwing a wild tantrum to get it back. Give it back. Give me the super poison. The poor guy stands there, completely helpless against Isaac's outrageous behavior. Why is he so hyperactive? The person tries to explain, You shouldn't drink this. This is holy poison. The woman next to them also steps in to stop Isaac, yelling, Are you out of your mind? If he drinks that, he will die. Someone gasps, Holy poison? Hearing this, Isaac's eyes light up with a crazed look as he lunges toward the bottle, screaming, Give it to me! You must give it to me! While one side is literally brawling over the bottle, the others stand by, gossiping about the holy poison. It seems he possesses an extraordinary level of poison resistance. I heard that during holy power training, one can actually reach a level where their body naturally neutralizes toxins. What? Are you saying he has already reached that level? But then, why does he only target the poison bottles? Could it be he's doing it to make sure nobody else drinks them because they are dangerous? Hearing their wild theories, Shuri sits in a corner, letting out a weary, sarcastic smile as she thinks, What absolute nonsense. Suddenly, a voice rings out, making Shuri look up. Really? Kina Berit suddenly appears before Shuri with a sparkling aura, asking, Are you saying he's sacrificing himself? Shuri jumps up in a panic, staring at Kina, thinking in shock, Kina Berit? What is he doing here? I didn't hear anything about the Pope's family participating in this, the direct descendant of the Pope's family, Kina Berit. The other children are equally stunned and confused by Kina's sudden appearance. Wait, isn't that Kina Berit? Why would someone from the Pope's family be here at the Saint's treasure vault? Isaac emerges victorious with the bottle in hand, casually sitting on the poor guy's back while chugging it down. Well, looks like we have a clear winner here. Oh ho! Kina stares at Isaac, thinking, So this is the brat who's practically guaranteed to become a saint? But can that pure hair color really be found within the Berit Pope family? Kina thinks about the hair color of the Eshua clan. Every other member of that family has hair the color of dung. Kina smirks and says, What's so strange about the successor of the Pope's family showing up at the Saint's treasure vault? Sanbai Yishu. Kina continued speaking, but his words completely stunned everyone nearby. The papal family leads all the clergy, so this treasure naturally belongs to us. Seeing the crowd's astonished reaction, he laughed even louder with amusement. I've only come to reclaim what belongs to me. Kina sneered in disgust. How pathetic. What is so fun about bullying a baby anyway? He said, as he stepped toward Isaac. A baby shouldn't be able to resist poison. The boy dropped to one knee, stared at Isaac, and said, He must be under the protection of the saint's power. Looking at Kina, Isaac could only curse in his mind, thinking that stupidity must run in this guy's family. Kina put on a fake smile, summoning 2 small embers in his hands. He gestured toward Isaac and said, You poor thing, it is okay. Let me neutralize the poison for you. Seeing Kina use magic, the onlookers began to whisper, Can he already use holy arts to neutralize poison? Look at the size of his holy power. That has to be at least level 5. Isaac, however, just looked at Kina with utter annoyance and confusion, thinking, Oh, this kid is definitely up to something. Watching Kina cast his spell, Isaac cursed to himself. Are you seriously trying to use me to show off your skills? You are pretty clever, I will give you that. But while Isaac put on a fake grin, his hand quickly smacked Kina right across the face. Kina's head snapped to the side from the hit. Suddenly, a boy pointed and cried out, The holy power disappeared. Kina's eyes widened in shock. He quickly put Isaac down, unable to believe what had just happened. My holy power was neutralized? No way. Not by a little brat like him. Staring at his palms in horror, Kina thought in disbelief, Is he actually stronger than me? The boy stared coldly, a murderous aura radiating around him. Clenching his fists, he cursed to himself, A mere insect of Eshua. With a smug look on his face, Isaac taunted Kina. What are you staring at, kid? I will smash this bottle over your head. As Isaac was threatening Kina, someone rushed over to hold him back, screaming, No, do not do that. Was he looking out for him because they were family? He slapped the very person trying to save him. How disrespectful. Kina looked at Isaac in confusion. Do they really think they have a chance against the Pope's family? Does he actually think he can protect him? Held back tightly by Suri, Isaac's face was flushed with anger, but he could only curse inwardly. You complete idiots. If it was not for me, you would have already taken a bottle to the head. Kina pretended he was fine, making excuses to brush it off. It is fine. I must have startled him. After all, he is still just a baby. Kina turned around, waving goodbye to everyone as he walked away. Well, good luck, kids of Eshua. You should at least try to bring back some mud to save your family's face. Isaac gritted his teeth in anger as he watched Kina leave, unable to do anything since Suri was holding him so tightly he could not even move. Suddenly, Kina stopped, turned around, and gave Isaac a provocative look, saying, "But of course, the best treasure here will be mine." The Eshua family would not even dare to get close to the Skeleton Demon King's corpse. Everyone stared at Kina, hearing those words come from such a young boy. Hearing Kina's words, Suri sighed in frustration. What a stubborn kid. I have no idea what he is up to, causing such a scene. Suri was taken aback when Isaac suddenly grabbed him by the collar, looking ready to fight. What is wrong with you all of a sudden? Suri and Isaac struggled back and forth. Suri yelled, the family head promised to grant a secret technique to whoever brings back the Skeleton Demon King's corpse. Hearing this, Isaac froze in shock. Suddenly, he collapsed to the floor, trembling. Melissa, are you playing around with my body? Isaac thought in horror of his skeleton wrapped in red cloth and tied with a bow like a gift. Isaac sat playing with bottles among a crowd of children, looking up at the sky in utter boredom. Remembering his Demon King form, Isaac thought, I accumulated centuries worth of mana in that body. If I can get my hands on it, reaching level 10 would be a piece of cake. His eyes flashed with anger as he glared at the children around him, but these brats are watching everywhere, so there is no way to sneak it out. Crushing the bottle, Isaac tossed it aside, thinking, whatever. I will just crush anyone who stands in my way. Suddenly, a voice called out, catching his attention. Everyone, gather around. It was the elder making an announcement. We are leaving soon, so listen to me carefully from now on. He began to explain, this relic vault is a sacred sanctuary, preserving the relics of past saints. Isaac groaned inwardly. He is starting with the history lesson again. We are never going to leave at this rate. He turned and crawled in another direction, muttering, this is so boring. Suri looked over in surprise and asked, huh? Hey. He then followed Isaac's path and whispered to himself, where are you going? Suddenly, a massive explosion went off. Suri shielded his face and screamed in panic, Elder! Meanwhile, Isaac was dashing at an incredible speed, thinking excitedly, it is time to use the holy magic I just learned. The elder screamed in terror, Isaac, no! That is a forbidden area. He continued, leaving the nearby children terrified. If you go that way, all the traps in the relic vault will be activated. Everyone quickly chased after Isaac, shouting, stop that brat. Meanwhile, at the Eshua family banquet hall, Asili said anxiously to Jai, I hope the young master is doing okay. The staff around the banquet hall announced, we have established a connection to the inside of the relic vault. They continued to report through the magic orb, the spirit beasts are following the third candidate, so we will transmit the information that the first relic vault door has opened, and the candidates are currently entering. Ryan was preoccupied, thinking to himself, he's already inside? Then, an announcement echoed, the candidate currently in third place is Peter Simon. A loud voice bellowed, my son. Meanwhile, the announcement continued. In second place is Suri Joshua. Gowl scratched his head in confusion, That's my son. The announcer went on, though with a slight, hesitant pause of disbelief. And in first place is Ajax Joshua. Everyone in the crowd gasped in unison, leaving Jai and Asili Isaac utterly frozen in shock. While he continued to charge ahead, shouts rang out, that's Isaac, Joshua. The elder, completely out of breath, chased after him and pleaded, Isaac, please, not that way. Suddenly, he stepped on a trigger. The elder was immediately struck by a bolt of lightning, yet he still choked out. If you keep going that way, more traps will activate. Suri looked over with a start and cried, oh my God, I'm sorry. Desperate cries for help echoed continuously. Help! Suri panicked and snapped. You absolute lunatic. Why did you charge in there and make such a massive mess? Terrified as he was, the boy didn't forget to flee, screaming at the top of his lungs. His desperate complaints were completely drowned out by the loud shrieks. The archives trial was already life-threatening enough on its own. Reaching out to hold Isaac back, Suri said, and now we even have to dodge traps laid out specifically for intruders. Isaac slowly approached the door and said excitedly, so this is the entrance to the second archive. A notification popped up. Second trap activated. Entering the side entrance of the second archive. The boy yelled in absolute terror to stop him. Ajax, don't go in there. The ghost giggled as if praising him. Incredible. Master, thanks to the massive amount of mana you absorbed in the annex, I've leveled up. Isaac replied eagerly. Excellent. Now I can work you even harder. It muttered in despair. Damn it, he immediately ordered. Now, go bring all of them back here. The ghost quickly obeyed and flew off. Right away, Master. It zoomed towards some kids resting nearby and overheard them saying, I didn't expect this to be so insanely hard. While one of the kids sighed heavily, another nearby stared off in a certain direction, wondering, so this is why saints are so powerful. He pointed at Suri floating in midair and asked, Isn't that the Joshua kid? Another kid replied, Yeah, it is. They grumbled to each other. How on earth is he flying? His family must have taught him beforehand. That's so unfair. Meanwhile, Suri thought to himself in frustration, No, you complete idiots. They didn't teach me a single thing. It turned out the ghost was grabbing the boy, completely ignoring his panic about floating out of control. It carried Suri back and dropped him on the ground, reporting, Master, I've captured the messenger. Having been dumped face first onto the dirt, the boy warned, Stop this madness right now. I have no idea how you managed to get past the first trial of the Archive of Chosen Destiny. But from the second archive onward, a single mistake can easily get you killed. Suri kept rambling on. You have to face your fears and choose the hard path to truly grow. Annoyed, Isaac smacked him, thinking, Look at you, doing just fine. He then ordered the groaning, Suri, whatever. Explain what's inside the second archive. Still sprawled out on the floor, Suri turned his head and said, Once you enter the archive, you must absolutely not attack the enemies. Do you hear me? Do not attack them. Isaac stared blankly, utterly confused. What absolute nonsense are you babbling about? Why shouldn't I attack the enemies? The boy panicked even more and warned, That's the only way to clear the second archive. No matter what appears, just stand perfectly still for 3 minutes until they disappear. Suri pleaded, Just tell me you understand. Otherwise, we're both dead. Isaac rolled his eyes and thought, How cliché. Are you testing my patience? Scrambling up in fear, the kid said, People have actually died doing this.